This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everybody and everyone, and a very good afternoon. We are coming to you all the way from Greater Kruger National Park in South Africa, and I'm just hugging this tree because I might be missing these trees that I love so much. The Amarula trees, the fake ones and the real ones, and I might be missing them the next few days. And how sad to not see these trees that I've seen almost every morning. And as usual, my name is David. And on camera with me is Senzo. How are you doing, Senzo? Are you excited for the drive? Well, I'm not very excited, but here we are. You know, this is how things go. And it's another great afternoon. We are welcoming you to our drive. Great weather, as you can see. I can feel it so good. 74 degrees Celsius and 74 degrees Fahrenheit and 24 degrees Celsius. That sounds good, right? 75 degrees Fahrenheit and 24 degrees Celsius. We're going to be moving now and see all those animals that I love, and I'm going to be waving them a little goodbye here and there. And remember, on our drive, it's you and us. We don't do it alone, we do it together. So your questions, your comments and your thoughts are always very welcome. As usual, on hashtag Safari Live, you can keep tweeting, and don't forget to follow us on the YouTube chat stream. And out on this drive, it's me, we got Stivovo, and we got the beautiful girl Taylor, who beat us yesterday when we were doing the birding. Alrighty, so don't forget, we got some pole, we got our roof on since this morning to say good afternoon to all of you.
Thanks, David. How are we going to miss that gentleman? I'm sure he's really looking forward to going back to his family, though. It's been some time. He's looking forward to that very much. Look what we've got here. Interesting. Investigation. We have got some dung. First of all, the dung is very black in colour. And if you break it open, quite easily see, well, first of all, it's still quite wet inside, but there's lots and lots of very badly eaten grass. Okay, so by looking at the dung, it's black and very badly chewed. So it could be one of two animals, white rhino or hippopotamus. So what do we check now if we're not sure? Is this a midden? Seb, does it look like a midden to you? No. Doesn't look like a midden, does it? It's kind of just like, this is where the bottom was. And if we look in the sand over here, we can actually see some tracks. There are some tracks over here. It's difficult for you to see clearly. They went that way. There's the toes. 1, 2, 3, and 4 with a back pad. And what happened over here? Well, ladies and gentlemen, over here is a big, where the body lay, a really big back. Quite a plump, chubby back over here. And this is where one foot was. This is where another foot was. And over there was where the bottom was. So you can imagine an enormous animal lying like this. Sorry that my back is to you. Maybe I should move up a little bit so my bottom is there. Like that. Lying in the sand. Just taking a breather before getting up and marching all the way back down that way to Chitwa watering hole. Have we guessed which animal it might be? Oh, he gave you 50% chance of getting it right. It is indeed, for those of you who have guessed it, a hippopotamus. And they often like to lie down in little sandy patches like this after their nightly wanderings of feeding, lots and lots of vegetation, lots of grass. They get a bit tired and they lie down just like that. There was more than one. There was another one over here, probably the little youngster. Probably not in the right spot for it, Seb, are we? You've got it. Another little youngster over here, once again with the dung right there, just where it was sitting. And it hasn't been kicked open like a white rhino would. And what I find, actually, with white rhino dung, they seem to have even more of a digestion or ability to chew than the hippo. You've seen the hippo's mouth. Very, very bad. But it's just covered in, it basically looks like a ball of straw, doesn't it? Chopped up straw whereas rhino at least has got a little bit more broken down, a little bit more. Quite characteristic of that. Okay, well, indeed, hippopotamus, and there was probably actually 3. 1, 2, and a third one, little one, was just over there. Oh. And by the way, those of you who are new to the show, my name is Steve, and I'm joined on camera by Seb. Sorry, I got a little bit carried away with the hippo activity here. And what a marvellous start to the day. I haven't seen one of these in some time. When I was up in Malawi, I'd see these every single day. The hippos slept outside on the banks all the time. Here, not so far. It's probably about 700 meters until he gets back to Chitwa. A little bit too tired. Let's just chill. And what a lovely place to spend some time in the grass without lying in the grass. As the bushwalk team will know, walking through the grass and lying in the grass can be rather uncomfortable.
Right. Oh, very exciting things to start the walk off. My name is Taylor McCurdy. I'm not the exciting thing that I'm going to be showing you today, but on camera with me is Craig, aka the Go Away Bird, and then we've got Ephraim joining us on walk this afternoon, and he has just pointed out some tracks. How cool. Now, if you look very carefully over here, we've got some leopard tracks going in both directions. Hang on, are they two different? Well, maybe they're the same ones. I'm just checking. Okay, so this animal is going up and down. I'm just having a quick look here. They look like still from probably this morning. Did we hear anything this morning? Barking? I can't remember. I don't think so. I think there were a couple of go-away birds making a bit of noise, but we do know that there's been lots of leopards around here from Shidulu, from Tundi, from Tingana. So we'll see. We will carry on and we will hopefully figure out who exactly we have walking around here. Did they come to just drink a bit of water? Did they come here to try and snatch up one of the Inyala or bushback that like to live around camp? Nobody really knows. Anyways, I'm going to send you to David and we're going to try and figure out what exactly went on out here.
Very good, very good. Thank you for coming to us. There's a little pig I saw from a distance, and I don't know whether that's a good angle. Do you want me backward this way? Okay, let me know, Senzo. Keep going. We got a little pig there that just came to say good afternoon to Senzo. Senzo loves pigs. And there's a white hog there, munching slowly. And she could be alone. We have always seen them once in a while going on their knees to reach the tubers or some roots when they need to, and I think this one is a gull. And very characteristic for all the animals here in the wilderness to keep, flicking their tails, either for flies or they would be predators to know, I am not asleep, I am alive and I'm kicking, so don't try to come around, I can see you. As much as sometimes people have said warthogs do not have very good memories. They'll one time be chased by a predator, then very quickly forget and start eating again. See, look, a medium-sized warthog to me. Sometimes they get a little bigger, especially the males. Girl, how come you're alone there? And as much as it looks a bit windy, she doesn't look concerned or worried by that. Either different animals, like the antelopes, the impalas, you could see them, getting a little bit nervous because of the wind. And he's slowly hiding there. And maybe we have to move on. Right, watch out, not bad. Collard, thank you very much. I'm going for my first break after about 2 months of work. So give or take about 2 weeks, and then I'll be back. And very nice to hear you'll miss me. Thank you very much, Colette. And definitely I'll be back and about, or I'll be somewhere else, but still we'll be happy to have you nice viewers around with us. Thank you very much, Colette. Those are great comments. So about 2 weeks or so, or 2.5 weeks. So my whole plans today is to do the east, and Senzo was asking me why do I like more from the north when I start the safari to go to the east, and I gave him an answer and he gave me a face because I told him it's from the east the sun rises, and given a choice of sunrises and sunsets, I've always preferred sunrises. When the sun goes down, you know, we are going to the darkness. We'll always go to so many unknowns. But once we're up in the morning, we are always just sure we have another day to keep looking. So my plan have been always to start with the east, and luckily I've always found lots of game. Senzo, are you convinced now? East is better than west? Yeah, he's still giving me a face, but I'm sure he's getting convinced. Josh, how are you? And always good to hear your name. What will I miss the most? I would say number one, the company, the people, you know, the staff here. I'll miss their warmth, and they accommodated me so very well. And I think that's number one thing that you're going to miss, that company. Once you meet people and you make a good gel, and after like say 2 months you're leaving them, it's not easy, you know, because you solidify your friendship. But you know, but also coming to the wilderness, I will miss all the leopards. You know, I fell in love with so many leopards, and more so Tingana the male, the duke of this area, Hukumuri, you know, Tandi and Klalamba. Of all the animals that I'll miss most will be the leopards. I mean, because I've spotted more leopards here in 2 months than maybe my career in East Africa of so very many years. So the people, or the colleagues, or the people I've been working with are going to miss their company and come into the bush, the leopards. But talking of the plants, I will miss the Malura trees. You're laughing, Senzo? And Senzo still think I am going to miss Amanda's food. And I thought I'm going to say that after I finish the drive. Not now, it's a bit too early. But yes, we have a girl in the kitchen. Her name is Amanda, and she makes the best cuisines you'll ever think of. You'll give her a quick order, which if her menu is different than yours, and in under 15 minutes, she'll fix it for you. And she knows how to balance the ingredients depending on, you know, your preference. Alrighty, let's find out how Steve is doing, and I'm sure Steve will also miss me.
Of course, David, of course we'll miss you. I'll miss you so much I forgot my name in the opening sequence of the show. And look what we spotted here. It is the horn of a buffalo. I think it's a buffalo, part of a buffalo. And it is completely inundated with these bagworms. These, not bagworms, these horn borer moths. So a very simple little thing. It's just the horn, the keratin being broken down here in the wilderness. Obviously eaten by a lion, perhaps, or died of natural causes. Fed on by all sorts of predators, hyenas, maggots, all the way vultures. And no idea where the rest of him is. It's probably been moved by an animal. And ow, that is what happens when you kneel down on a thorny bush. It's quite painful. But even underneath here, if this has been sitting here for a while, it could have become the home to something. But the horn itself, there's nothing underneath. I think this has been moved because I've never seen this before. It's right next to the road. It's actually got a bit of a smell. No, that's not from there. But, you know, sitting on the ground like this is providing a little bit of shade. Scorpion could move under there, all sorts of insects, and the horn borer moth actually grows in here and feeds on the horn, breaking it down, and uses the excrement of the horn itself with a bit of cocoon to make this long tubular thing, and it will eventually pop out and come out as a moth flying off to lay its eggs on the horns of other unsuspecting animals. So very nice how nothing is wasted out here, and you need a very special digestive system to break down keratin. There's not many things out there that can do it, and you've probably heard of fish moths or of mothballs that some people do to put in their clothes and in their books, because those organisms are able to break down cellulose, actually able to eat polystyrene, I think, if they could. All part of nature. I wish they could eat polystyrene. All part of nature. They'll be broken down, eventually back to soil. I didn't get the name, Lukey. Sorry. Enter, you want to know why I have so much gear on? Are you talking about warm gear, or I've always got a pair of binoculars on, and I've always got my hat on, and whenever I'm off the vehicle I do have a radio on my belt. My knife is always there. So are you talking about my vest that I have on? It was a little bit cold when I drove out. The wind flying through my hair, because those of you who are watching, I won the haircut competition this morning. Just tooting my own horn. So we had the wind flying through the hair earlier, and it was a little bit cold, so I put on my fleece jacket, but I'm getting warm again. It's a lovely afternoon. A little bit overcast from this morning. Who knows what is going to be out and lurking. It was a very, very quiet morning, but those of you who are regular viewers know that often when we have these quiet days, suddenly it explodes with all sorts of our favorite characters. And you know, talking about characters, David Gitu, who's been here for 2 months, his final drive, he's got some more things to say.
Well, I'll be trying to say goodbye to all these beautiful species of animals, birds that I'll see. And we got this southern yellow-billed hornbill looking at me and maybe trying to say goodbye to me or trying to attack me. I'm not sure what it wants to do. No, it wants to feed on that early dung. And with their strong beaks, they're able to open them up. And you have known early sometimes they'll eat. When they eat, they'll get some beetles through the system and coming out alive. We've seen a lot, and these hornbills will easily do that. You'd imagine them picking and turning around the elephant droppings, but now they'll get the old ones that has already been spread out. Sometimes maybe not them, but by francolins. And then they'll try. I think the francolins do a better job when it comes to opening and splitting the elephant dung, especially when it's a bit hard. But when it's fresh, I'm sure the hornbills do a better job. It's all about the strength of the beak and using their feet. So you'd imagine an elephant by itself is a whole ecosystem. How many lives elephants support, the oxpeckers and their bodies when they eat, and then they got all these small insects coming through their system and out. And the hornbills know they need to go through the dung. So the elephants, in a way, also will be feeding these hornbills. Hello there. Are you not enjoying that, Bill? She may be wanting to shift. I think when it's too hard, it's quite a challenge for them to keep breaking them. Defecates there. So we've got two types of hornbills around. We've got the yellow-billed and we also got the red-billed hornbill. Malaika, you're saying there's so much poop for this, hornbill to go through, and he got a job to do. And unless he gets a mate and then try to break it together, that's definitely a lot of poo or a lot of elephant dung for it to break. So we're going to be changing position here and keep moving and going to a bit of a drainage. Hopefully my signal will keep holding. And keeping our eyes on the ground. Sorry, what did Angie ask about the poop? Sorry. Angie, that's a good question. You're asking, only humans that are put off by poop. Personally, I have never been worried, of poop at any one given time. And I'll always enjoy, seeing poop of any animal. But when it comes to human beings, that's sometimes a bit of a concern. But here out in the bush, not once I'll just go out and hold an elephant poo, with my hands, because it's always clean, or hold, buffalo poo. I call it clean poo because, Angie, think of what these herbivores eat. Look at the elephants. They're only eating all these leaves, all these branches you see here. This is so fresh. It is so clean. Look at the buffaloes, impalas, and all the herbivores the same. So the only concern that would happen once in a while is for the cats or the hyenas. So you're not sure whether to touch fresh hyena poo or maybe from the vultures. But for all the other animals, I would say, Angie, I have no problem touching it. Of course, as human beings, there's always that worry when you think, well, this is a human being, and you never know, because we tend always to spread bacteria or infections if anybody could have been infected. Alrighty, the girl, Taylor, is still doing
a bit slow, unfortunately, but we'll get there eventually. We haven't picked up any more on those leopard tracks. We couldn't also see where that leopard had drank, so I'm not so sure. So instead we're looking at plants because they cannot run away from us. Much easier. We did have a nice little bird party earlier too, but they just would not sit still today. Anyways, this tree is a fairly familiar tree to most of you because we talk about it on a regular basis. It's quite an important tree to know about, especially in an area like the Lowveld, which is where we are, for, of course, all guides out there, because you only make a mistake once with this tree. Now, this is the Tambuti tree, and it is fairly toxic because it has a milky latex, but though, again, not all plants that have milky latex is actually toxic, and it's quite an easy tree to identify. I always use the sort of very pale bark that you get on the young trees. As it gets a bit older, the bark becomes like this. Actually, this is a good example of how it can sort of change, so don't get confused. It starts off really fairly smooth like this, and then sort of goes sort of nice and rugged. And then spines as well. You'll see there's a big spine over there, so it's not a thorn. A thorn is a modified leaf. A spine is a modified branch, so you'll still get little leaves and things growing off of this. That's another way you can identify it. And then also in the winter months, the trees get red sort of leaves, and you can see some of them are starting to change colour, or some of them have. It wasn't too long ago before a few of them looked like they were on fire. It was very pretty. And then, of course, they typically grow around on the edges of drainage lines. They normally line the edge of a drainage line. But if I were to prick a leaf, this will be, of course, the final test. Or if I break a stem. Oh, Jeremy, you've never seen the Tambuti tree before. Here we go. Now, of course, this is now not working, but if I squeeze this, you can see there is a little bit of a latex there. So, I suppose I just need to break a few more branches, or probably make some more of that come out. Now, that can irritate your skin, depending on how sensitive you are, of course, and also which parts of your skin you get it on. It can cause a rash, a little bit of blistering. You wouldn't want to get it into your eyes. Now, the other thing is, of course, often these trees, you'll see them just pushed over to the side and things like that, and people go, we'll just, we'll cut a branch of this off, we'll throw it into the fire. Good time, great. Now, I haven't ever done it, but I know a few guides who have made the mistake of burning a Tambuti log, and it gives off a very sort of sweet smell, and that's the first thing that most guides say when they've realized their mistake, is they can smell. It's very, very sweet, almost like sandalwood, but not quite. And then, well, a few minutes after that, headaches, stomach pain, nausea, that all starts to set in once you inhale the smoke. So you've got to be careful of this stuff. However, even though it might be toxic to you and I, there are some animals that are able to combat it, which is pretty cool, don't you think? So things like a porcupine will actually come around, and often see them ring barking trees because they'll nibble on the bark quite low down, and hopefully we'll be able to find some of that today, and then we'll talk about that a little bit more. Right, off we go to Steve. I wonder where his journey is taking him.
We're on the road again. We are in the eastern sections, and Tambuti is indeed highly toxic, especially if you cook meat on the wood of Tambuti. It'll make you very, very sick. It'll give you dehydration to the point where you'll actually die if you don't go to hospital. But the saving grace is that it smells quite sweet, so you can actually smell, ooh, something's wrong with that log. Just inhaling it will make you sick, but if you eat meat off of it, whoa, you're very, very big trouble. But it's a very nice piece of wood, very nice wood, African sandalwood it's also known as. And here someone has dropped a piece of paper. I wonder what interesting information we're going to find on this piece of cardboard. Oh, Tambuti. I can't believe it. It's a little note about Tambuti. Tambuti Tree ID, one of the personal trees in South Africa, if you can take a leaf, it will produce a milk latex, and that can kill your eyes for temporary to get blind. How amazing is that? Tambuti cannot be used as a firewood because it can cause lung disease. Well, how interesting is that? It is the most random piece of cardboard fallen out of someone's book on the side of the road.
As we're talking about Tambuti.
I don't quite know what those signs mean. And I'm just going to edge forward a little bit. And that is indeed a Tambuti right over there. Very nice tall one. And the problem is that where they grow next to the rivers, and they drop nice wood on the floor. And so everyone thinks, oh, let me just burn this one. Got to be very careful collecting wood at the base of Tambuti trees. They're quite easy to identify. Okay, well, it seems as if David has found an animal for the afternoon. Let's go see what it is.
Well done, Steve Ovo, and that was a good surprise on the Tambuti tree. But I doubt a Steinbach would like to eat a Tambuti tree. And I think Steinbach are clever, and the leaves, I'm sure, would be either poisonous or too hard. And Steinbach's being browsers, you can see they won't reach very soft and small leaves. I think the Tambuti ones would be too big and maybe too much tannin in them, if not the poison on that particular tree. And this is a small or fully grown Steinbach. You can see the horns on it, maybe just about to mature. You can see either the ears have been attacked by ticks. You see on behind the ears small little scars, dark patches. But that doesn't bother it, and I think it's eating the buffalo thorn or something. And very busy thing, yes, that's a buffalo thorn he is feeding on. And very unusual to see them this still. They're always on the move. Most antelopes of this size, Steinbachs, Dikers, you'll see them 1 second, the next second they're gone. Sunnis. Turn around, Steinbach. Magic Dragon Wizard, I think you commented about the ears, correct, Luke? And yes, the ears are really huge, Magic Dragon Wizard. Look carefully at those ears, and I have always commented, Magic Dragon Wizard, that of all the antelopes, I love the ears of the Steinbach. Of all the antelopes, Magic Dragon Wizard, I love the ones for the Steinbachs, and they don't look very proportional to the body. They look rather huge compared, say, to the neck and the head, but definitely because of their size, I think they need them to be able to pick up any sound of the predators. I think that's why they're so huge. And I have always said, you look on the inner side of that ear, you'll just love it. I'm looking carefully. They look like ticks. Luke is just wondering, or they look like scars or patches. And if they're ticks, then that could be a bit of a concern. And I would wonder where the oxpeckers would be, because they need to come and get rid of all the ticks here. And what is interesting is that these ticks sometimes, or they do not cause any infection to these antelopes. Others you'd think it could have gotten some kind of fever, but he still looks in very good shape, albeit having maybe so many ticks or scars behind the ears there. Always seeing them on their own, and I have always said, I'm not sure I would want to be a Steinbach myself. I do not want to live alone. Hello, young Steinbach. It's always good to have a company, and you'll be surprised, maybe about 100 meters or so, 200 meters from here, there could be a female living around, but they do not share the territories. So female, live your way, do your things, and I do my things, and I live my life. Unless they have, any good reason to be together during the breeding. What is your attention for? It's trying to pick some attention of something. I don't see anything. It's not windy. And now on the move, either changing what he's eating to go to a different area. Fantastic Steinbach. Thank you very much. Keep feeding, and being a browser, always feeding on the leaves. Almost impossible to see them going for the grass, just going for leaves and leaves. All right, Steinbach, thank you. That was great company. And again, we said we'll keep apologizing every time we got the poll on the way, but I thought I was leaving the camp like this morning. I didn't want to take any chances with the storms opening. And let's go to Steve Oval and see what you got.
So we just spotted some tracks of a male leopard, just trying to get a little bit of a view of a bit more of a fresh sort of track. If he came out this way, the road that I was on now, I definitely did not drive this morning, so it's hard to say, but I did drive where we are now, so to get the freshness of whether that male leopard walked on top of our vehicle or not, give us a good indication. Can you hear the chagra? There's a chagra just in here. That sound that they make is where their name comes from. Now let's try and get the shy and elusive bird out of its hiding place. Pardon me while I make a very strange sound. Can you hear him there? Shouting back at me. Nice. There we go. That is indeed a chagra. Whether it's a brown-crowned or a black-crowned, I can't quite tell you. Looks like a brown-crowned. Very good. Oh, there he flies. That's their call. It's characterized as a drunk man falling down the stairs. Because that's what you do if you're drunk and fall down the stairs. But back to that track. Where has it gone? Well, I'm going to have to do a little bit of scratching around to see exactly where it's gone to. It definitely came this way. But as of yet, I haven't quite found it. Probably going to get off and do a little bit of walk around. That's the best way. But the chagras, that you can only capture them when you're alive. There's no way. I mean, yesterday we had them a number of times, and then you'd frame them in by the time. It's just as you saw. And that's what they do. They like to skulk inside the bushes. They're part of the shrike family. Very sort of sharp, long beak. One of many of the shrikes. But a chagra, because of the that they make in their call. Okay, well, we definitely drove here, so if I don't find any tracks here, then it's definitely from this morning or yesterday. Yeah, the arrow mark babbler's off to the left here. Okay, well, while we scratch around here, bet the bushwalk team's got a better view of tracks on the ground, so let's go see.
Well, hopefully we'd be able to help you with your tracks, but we can't. I've just dropped my book. Anyway, we're looking at a very, very sad brown-leaf teak. And I'm surprised, because others are seeming to do a little bit, well, seeming to be in a little bit better health than this one. I suppose, look at this. Actually, it used to be something a little bit bigger. See, this is what happens when you just bend down to have a closer look. It's amazing what you can see. So I actually thought that it was a little teak that was just sprouting from the ground, maybe a new one, but it turns out it's actually quite an old one. Look how thick the base of the branch is here. You see that? But obviously the elephants have come through and they've completely wrecked it. And broken it down, but it's still trying, it's still desperately trying. Maybe it's because of the lack of rain that the leaves are looking a little bit more sad. However, they're still going to have a bit of sustenance in them, and we are going to start seeing the zebras and the buffalo feasting upon these lovely leaves. And this is going to be an area where there are plenty roundleaf teaks. Now, Zach, most certainly the animals do know about what trees have, or what plants have certain medicinal uses. So you'll often see animals with stomach ailments feasting on things like, for example, I've seen black rhino eating euphorbia trees before, which are highly toxic. They have milky latex, just like the Tambuti that we're looking at, and that is also said to help with animals with sort of stomach ailments, is to eat something like that. I wouldn't know, I'm not going to try it, it's highly toxic. Something like this as well, again, is really good to help dry out the stomach. The guarri trees are all, just by eating a couple of leaves, can help sort you out and alleviate an upset stomach, even for us as humans. This one, of course, not the euphorbia. So they definitely do have an idea of what they need to eat when they need to eat. They probably have a much better idea than we do. So it's quite cool how they do that. And sometimes you get to see it, not all the time. You've really got to look very carefully to see what an animal is eating. But something like an elephant, it's fairly easy, because if they were, or a buffalo, if they were to have very sort of upset stomach, you'll normally see the feces quite green and running down the legs, and that can obviously tell you that. And then if you watch what they're eating, you might find that they start to nibble on things. They're going to help sort that out. I've actually held onto a piece of the round leaf teak, because it's very, very nice wood. This obviously isn't a very nice piece, but I haven't actually been able to pull a piece off at all. Anyways, we're going to keep going, and I wonder, and I hope that David is going to do a couple more birds before he heads on home.
Well, I'm getting try to see my babbit, the crested babbit. I've seen a couple, 2, 3 fly. I want to try and see whether they can get some that will stay still, and I get a few shots of them. They're some of the most beautiful babbits that you got around. Seeing what you got on this tree here, but not much luck. And talking of animals eating particular plants or trees when they are unwell, it reminds us how intelligent the animals are. Excuse me. And you'd imagine we human beings, we get a little cold, or we get a flu, or we get tummy issues. The next stop, we are at the hospital or with the doctor. And I'm sure the animals go through the same. But for them to sort themselves without going through the doctor, I think there's a lot of intelligence in them. And it brings me to the topic I was talking about the other day, of how our great-grandparents would know on what issues to treat us with. And you'd go to your grandfather or your grandmother and say, I have an issue, or I've got some fever, my tummy is not right. And they would exactly know what your problem was. I mean, talk of fever, it could be yellow fever, it could fever caused by malaria, or caused by cold or flu. And they would leave, go to the bush, and they would gather particular, part of a tree, either the leaves or the roots or the tree bark, come with it, and they know how much, in what quantity to boil, or mix it maybe with a different type of tree, with different quantities, and they'll know how to balance the ingredients, boil it, and then they'll tell you, come here, young man. It did not matter how bitter it was, you just had to take it. But a day or two, it would go. And things have changed now. It's not the same now. Any slight ailment, if it's so bad, you call an ambulance, you're in the hospital, antibiotics. Well, we are surviving, but with a choice. I would want us to go where we used to be, like maybe 50 or 100 years ago. But we still got tribes in Africa who are still doing the same. I mean, for example, in East Africa, we got a tribe called the Maasai People. The Maasai People, not all of them, but I would still say 50, 60% of them, they still have kept their traditions when it comes to, diseases. And if they have big celebration, for example, they are slaughtering a goat or a big bull, or during wedding ceremonies, they'll get particular bones of the cow, of the goat, and then they get some roots, and they'll come and boil, and the soup would specifically be taken by either ladies who are pregnant or small children, and it would give them so much strength. And maybe the last 1 or 2 months before the ladies, would deliver, there's particular soup that would be given, and that prepared them well, and to make sure exactly they would have very healthy babies. Right, let's find out what predator Steve got now.
Yes, Well, the little predator was predating around and scavenging and in the open, and then took a very shy exit towards the bushes. There we go. Seb spotted another one, the Dwarf Mongoose. Little family of them out in the open. But doing a little bit of digging. There's another one in the bushes in front of it. Here we go, see the little digging it's doing. They're quite effective diggers. They've got some very nice claws. And so when you look at the track of an animal, if claws are quite pronounced, then invariably they use it for digging, or maybe for assisting in movement with regards to running, like the cheetah. But little mongooses that love to ferret around and dig and scratch out scorpions and beetles and all sorts of bugs that might be in and around. Even little rootstocks and tubers as well. Also to scratch through the undergrowth and through the leaf and vegetation. Some of them are very, very cute, dwarf mongooses. We really do enjoy spending time with them. Lovely to get right up and close and personal with the little family. Be able to document their movements every day. Oh, see, we've got a bird that just popped in on the side here. Do you see? There he is. Very easy to identify, the ring-necked or Cape turtle dove. That is what a live one looks like. We were investigating the death of one this morning. And pigeons and doves have got a very special oil on their eye, which allows it to polarize the eye lens. So when they're looking at the ground, seeds obviously reflect very differently to soil particles. And they are seed eaters, so they can walk around and they can pluck up any seed that obviously works well with the polarization rather than the glaring sand particles, although they will take a fair bit of sand into their crop, into their gizzard, where a lot of grinding of the seeds happens. It's quite an interesting thing with pigeons and doves indeed, and very, very common and successful birds. As we see in most cities, doves or pigeons seem to be absolutely everywhere. Inamu, what a question. Is there a reason why certain birds make different calls other than to differentiate between each other? Well, a lot of the calls that are made between birds are territorial calls, so to demarcate territory, or they are to attract a mate, a lover, or they are alarm calls. Other than that, I don't see any other purpose for birds to call. Territory, which means you are spacing yourself out from others. For example, the turtle dove that we found this morning, just with feathers, did not manage to call this morning, so other turtle doves that would like the territory of that turtle dove would no doubt move in. And also the very nice wooing calls that certain birds might make towards their lover. The more elaborate your call, the more attractive you are to the female, because it is the female's choice out in the birding world. We're talking about adaptations, and doves and pigeons have a very good ability to walk around. They are very good flyers, a very good ability to walk around, which enables them to feed quite effectively on the ground, on their choice of food being seeds. But this little guy on its own will have a really hard time spotting a falcon coming in or a sparrowhawk. We've done lots of studies of the time it takes for birds to sort of be alerted to the presence of a predator moving in. And the reason lots of animals hang out in groups is the larger the groups, the shorter the time it takes to spy one coming in. Individuals on their own really just open themselves up to predation. He's not flushed though. Enjoying a little plucking around in the ground. And well, once again, David Gitu, he is still on Djuma somewhere, his last moments down in the south. I wonder what other thoughts he has this afternoon.
All right, buds, pecking on the ground, and let's see if we can see some beautiful Craig! Is that a good angle, Senzo? Craig! And that's the grey goy bud. Sometimes I've noticed when the animals become quite a bit of a challenge, I have always wanted to give myself a break by doing a bit of birding, and in so doing, the animals will start showing up slowly, because I think the birds also count a lot. And remember to keep sending your questions to it, #SafariLive. Anything you'd want to know about such a beautiful bird that's very similar to the turacos. I'm not sure she wants to fly and take off, but look at the beautiful mohawk they got. Moving on, and she wants to join another one there. The two of them there. Let me move forward a little bit and give Senzo a different angle. So I did have come to this one in front of us, and there's another one. How is that, Senzo? Is that good? And again, sorry about the pole of the car, but as I've always said, better safe than sorry. So that's the other one that most likely must be pairing the one that just flew away. And I was saying earlier, they're very similar to the turacos. Could be the same family. We have so many turacos around this area. I haven't seen any around, but go away bad. The best thing I love them is the call they make. And let me see where they're going to play their call. And we have called one of our camera operators, Craig. I'm sure you all know Craig, and he is loving it. We still have to get a name for Senzo. Senzo, what's your favorite bird? No, that's for Craig. What's your favorite bird, Senzo? What's your favorite bird? What, the vulture? Flamingo? Pelican? Babbit?
Yeah, I love vultures. Love the way they walk.
You love the way they walk. Senzo says he loves vultures. He loves the way they walk, as in playing you the call for the go-away bird. Ah, and you notice she just picked it up, and she turned up wondering, is it the partner calling her or not? All right, it's time for you to go get some fruit. They'll always be feeding on some seeds, some berries. And sometimes you see them coming to the ground. The best thing I love about the goy is the mohawk. And especially when the wind is blowing it, it makes them look so cute. And any animal in the wilderness is always, I respect them a lot. Because when you see where she is perched, it's so gray. Alan, good question you're asking. What do they like to eat? The go-away birds are omnivores, and they'll eat both, green matter and anything, proteins that they can get. But they love berries a lot. They love fruits a lot. If you look on the shape of the beak, you can see they're fruit eating, and they'll be eating some seeds. And when they decide to change the menu, they'll always go on the ground, and you see them feeding on termites. Any insect they'll get on the ground, but more so they'll start feeding on the ground, feeding on termites. But they go for seeds, fruits, of course, small leaves, small flowers, but more so berries. You can see the wind is picking up. You can see what I was saying about the mohawk being blown by the wind and making it look such a beautiful bird. And let's find out how the tracking team is doing on tracks.
I'm not telling you because we're going to do a quiz. Who's ready? You want to see who's still awake or waking up, who hasn't woken up yet. Anyways, it's late afternoon here in South Africa. I'm not going to show you too much, so you can see that. That is the track, those things there. And I would like to know what animal has put its whatever down on the ground. It could be a foot, it could be a tail, it could be a face print, it could be anything. And then, that's track number one. We're going to only do two, because this is a warm-up. Then we've got one more, and it's these things in there. Again, could be a horseshoe crab that left that print. Could be a dinosaur. I'd like to hear from you, though, what animals you think left these footprints in the sand. I know, Luke, I agree with you. I'd also like to see a dinosaur track. Now, they're not the neatest of tracks. They're, slightly disturbed, which is going to make it very tricky. I'll be impressed if everybody gets number 1, because that's not an easy track to see. Shall we show them again? Number 2 was an easy one, but this is you see, that's fine. You should get that first. I think you'll get number 2 first before you get number 1. Number 1's going to take some thinking. Oh. Angie, I don't say your answer out loud, because you can't just answer them one at a time. You've got to give me both answers. You've got to give me track number 1 and track number 2. That is how we have to play the tracking game. So you have to send answers in for both tracks. And you've got to get them correct, both of them correct, in order to ensure you get the bragging rights for the show. Oh, Ryan, you said scrub hare and zebra. Close. You got number 2 right. Zebra is correct for track number 2. However, number 1 is incorrect. A little bit too big to be a scrub hare. Scrub hare tracks are really sort of small. They're like little triangles in the sand. Ooh. Karen, you said hyena and zebra, so well done to you. Also get number 2 right, but unfortunately not winning with number 1. It's not a hyena track. It's something different. It's something that comes out at night. Ravinda, you said rhino and baby rhino. That's incorrect. The second one is zebra. So we have the second answer. We're just looking for number 1. Like I said, it's a nocturnal creature. It comes out at night time. That might help you. Okay, I'm going to... No, Angie, that's not correct. Number 1 is not a mongoose. I'm going to put my hand here just to show you how big it is. It's a very big track. It's a large track. It's a creature that comes out at night. Mafuta, no, that's not a warthog footprint. That's too big. My arch too big. Those tracks are as long as my fingers. Well done, Ryan. You get bragging rights. Aardvark is indeed the correct track. Let me show you well done. Okay, so it looks like it's put... These tracks are slightly sort of superimposed, but there's a track there. There's a finger, well, and a claw over there. Claw, sorry, finger, finger, finger. Then you can see the claws. 1, 2, 3. You normally see those 3 digits very, very clearly in the sand. And then it looks like obviously the other foot was here and is somehow superimposed onto the other one. But the old tracks, so they're not really any nice ones, but good, well done. I think the nocturnal creature in my hand there helped you. But you can't make it easy all the time. Sometimes we've got to make it a little bit on the difficult side. Anyways, let's go across to Steve and maybe see if he'll give you a little medicinal treat on this Wednesday.
Not today, David. Today is not Medicinal Mondays. You've been doing some wonderful chats there about medicinal stuff, so we are hoping to try and find an animal. Just popped in here quickly to Treehouse Dam. As you know, we check watering holes. Got some blacksmith lapwings, and then towards the right of them, I think those are some oxpeckers that have come down to drink. They're admiring their own shadow, the blacksmith lapwing. But can you go a little bit more right to that, Seb? I think there's a couple of birds drinking. I think they're oxpeckers. See, even the oxpeckers are struggling to get water from their hosts because there's no hosts anywhere. Where are the animals? They're all thinking, what? We've been waiting here in the tree by the watering hole. Everyone's supposed to come down and drink, but no one's coming. Because they often get a lot of their moisture from the blood. Oof, what spooked you guys? There we go, they made their call. They're very quiet. Normally oxpeckers make a lot of noise when they fly off. Very good indication that there's an animal nearby. As they fly off the back. Oh, they're having a bit of a mirror competition. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? A little bit of a mirror dance. Who's got the theme tune now? Who's got the music? We're going to call it Lapwing Lake. Well, look at the beautiful dance as they move very gently through the water, feeding on whatever sort of insect might get disturbed by their moving feet or hunting in stealth mode. They're almost mirroring each other. Isn't that marvelous? Okay, well, it seems like David has managed to find his barbet. Yay for David.
Yay! I've been wanting to see this babbit before the end of the day, because we don't have this babbit in East Africa, and this is the Crested Babbit. Hello there. And in general, babbits are always very beautiful bats, and just like my other favorite bat, the lilac-breasted roller, 3, 4 different colors: black, yellow, red, a bit of green, as it flies away there. Senzo, we lost this, didn't we? Oh, well done, Senzo. Senzo still has it. Good camera work, Senzo, for following it up. The wind is building a bit, and sometimes they also feel a bit uncomfortable. But if the choice was a bird, I would just sit somewhere and enjoy a swing, being blown by the wind. And I'm trying to compare the mohawk of this babbit against the one we just saw earlier of the grey go-away bird. Crossbar, you say it's indeed beautiful. I agree with you. Just look at it and see how many colors she got. Pretty tiny bird, and she got very bright, wonderful colors. I don't know whether I mentioned white in the first place, but I was counting, the white, the black, the yellow, the red, a bit of grey on it, and how she blends in on that bush willow tree that's shedding leaves, and some leaves are still holding. Some have dried up and definitely dropped to the ground. Some are still green. Time to maintain her feathers. Still a bit of a scratch here and there. And who would not love to see a babbit, and this particular one here? You always see them on their own, and these are almost extremely, I would say, exclusively omnivores. They very rarely eat, basically they're omnivores, and just like the go-away birds, they'll eat both green and insects. You'll always see them going on top of trees looking for larvae or moth on dead trees. Now I'm sure she's trying to clean her beak. There's one particular side of the feather she needs to maintain and keep it where it should be. All right, changing position, babbit. When I look at this babbit, it reminds me of another babbit called the red and yellow babbit. And of all the babbits that I think I know I love, this one have a very special call. And I want to show you why. Keep enjoying that one. I said try to get the red and yellow babbit, which I think they're very, very similar, but I don't think that one is found here. Babbit, alrighty. Okay. Senzo, if you come here. Yeah, can we say it looks very good on those leaves, and I think she has found herself a spot just to stay and, enjoy herself. And she goes, and she brings me now to the red and yellow babbit I was talking about. And I think they're pretty close, similar to each other. What do you think about Senzo? There could be a bit of glare there from the light of the sun. Well, let's see, Senzo, what are you going to do? Very good. So that's the nominate up there, but if you go down Senzo a bit, you'd see the fully grown one there, and we have to the left the male. That's better, Senzo? That way? Very good. That's the red and yellow babbit, and the difference I would say between the two, the other one that we just saw has a crest, and the red and yellow babbit doesn't have a crest, but they're very similar, and both of them looking very beautiful. All right, let's find out whether Steve has a babbit or he got something different.
Oh, well, David, you keep asking me what I've got. I still don't have anything, really. It is a very quiet afternoon. Very, very quiet afternoon. But we are checking the property. Seb and I are both having an idea that... Hello, Dacre. Well, as soon as we said we've got nothing, we've frightened the poor little common Dacre, who has now disappeared, as they do, into the thickets. Very hard to spot sometimes. So Seb and I both got a feeling that there might be a leopard making their way in and around Vuetela Lodge. Seems about right, doesn't it? So we're going to slowly make our way in that direction, starting to cool down, keeping our eyes very well peeled. It's amazing how much further we can see this time of year now. I have spoken about it before, but day by day it's getting drier and drier. These dense stands of trees starting to slowly lose their leaves. Mainly in response to the lowering water. Hello, Luke. Well, you want to know if I've spent time researching an animal? Not specifically an animal. I've spent a lot of time with individual prides, I suppose, up in Singita, and I didn't have too many leopards at the time. I was trying to sort of follow up on all of the leopards that we could find, but they were pretty skittish back in the day. We implemented a very nice habituation project there, which worked quite well. They're getting lots of leopard sightings now up in the Kruger Park that they weren't getting before that, and basically just implementing the habituation program of driving around in areas that you find the animals, spending time, turning the car off, turning the car on, late at night, all night long, talking on the radio, making the radio make loud noises. And now they get amazing leopard sightings up there. But I suppose with the lions, a few documentaries were shot, which I assisted a lot in with sort of the information. And it was just nice to be able to drive around and follow. But no active physical sort of writing research. It's all just sort of information, not really to prove any point. So I hope that answers your question, Luke. I've almost gotten into honey badger research. I've thought about it. Still thinking about it. Lots of thinking. Lots of thinking. A consideration to become a student again. It's could be nice. Okay, well, we're going to slowly make our way back into the area we were talking about, and it seems like Taylor would like to discuss another plant.
Right, oh, we're just doing plants. Like I said, they're the only things that cannot run away from us. Right, we are, I don't know why I said right twice like that. That's my new thing, and I'm going to stop doing it. It's really embarrassing. It's not good. Anyways, those little knobs belong to, of course, none other than the knobthorn tree, one of the most important trees out here in the bush. Again, another good one to know about, and for a number of different reasons. Now, I was speaking to Ephraim quickly because there's one of the medicinal uses of this plant is, and you can do the same thing with the Tambuti tree too. They say that if you take the knobs of these beautiful plants, this one's quite young, they've also got little thorns on the tip of them, and you cut one off and you ground it up as a nice powder. You can actually pack it onto your teeth if you've got any toothache. And I asked Ephraim, I was like, have you ever done this before? And he said, yeah, I have indeed done it. And I said, did it? And he said, did it? Well, I asked him if it worked. He said, no, not really. He said it wasn't actually that effective. So sometimes westernized medicine can be a little better because, of course, it's a lot more concentrated. Now, with the Tambuti tree, however, that it can actually not be very good for you when you put the toxin in the back, all the milky latex in the back of your teeth, because it sort of, well, I suppose it numbs it. But I've heard of people losing their teeth and their teeth actually falling out. So it's obviously killing the nerves or something else in there. So too much of it could be a bad thing, which is not so good. Now, we're not winning in terms of animals today. We keep checking the roads to come out and see if there are any interesting tracks. And we're looking for tracks of honey badgers and porcupines. And if we see a white-tailed mongoose track, we're going to try and look for some of the sort of smaller things. But we haven't really been having too much luck. And there has been a bit of a breeze about today. So that hasn't been ideal, blowing all the sand onto the road. Goodness. This is an old tree. Now, we drive past this quite often. We don't see very many rocks here on Djuma, but apparently when the elephants pushed over this tree, they found quite a few. It looks like quartz. That's all here. Look at all that just crumbles. Really quite cool. It's a very pretty piece. Oh, no, never mind, I dropped it. that was typical. So this is going to be a great home for lots and lots of little critters, which is quite cool, like lizards and scorpions and mice and rats and snakes. And all sorts of things will be living here, especially at this time of the year, now in winter. Now, I'm surprised we didn't see anybody as we approached this log sort of sitting out and basking in the sun, because we're getting sort of the last of the golden, no, it's not quite golden glow, it's just turning now. But it is so warm, and if I was a reptile and I was freezing cold, because I think it was quite cold this morning. Was it cold, Craig? Or was it not too bad? Nippy. Craig's a little nippy. Anyways, I would be out here just resting up, just, basking in the lovely golden light. But apparently not. Perhaps it was my loud voice that chased them all away. Right, David, however, has taken up the challenge, and he is still doing birding.
Well, I'm just watching an Egyptian geese here, and this morning I was discussing how some of the names of birds and animals, came about. And watching this beautiful goose here, she is alone. And I'm not sure the other one is a pied-wagtail. Yes, a pied-wagtail just joined in the party. So the small black and white one, that's the pied-wagtail. And the Egyptian geese, you'll always see them in twos, sometimes a male and a female in general. But this one is alone, and it brings me to the big question, where did our goslings go? Well, I'm sure that will be answered one day. We have been doing a lot of wild goose chase, all of us. But now, this does not that it worries me, but to see her alone is not the norm. You'll always see them in twos. I mean, the goslings are gone, or definitely this could not have been the parents. Maybe yes, maybe no, but then how come she is alone now as she feeds there, trying to get some grass or some seeds, being vegetarians, the Egyptian geese? And talking of the names and the pink legs, but most of the rufous eye patches, if you look on the eye patch, that's rufous eye patches there, it was always thought many ladies in Egypt used to do the eyebrows, and when they'd go for makeup, there's a particular paint or dye they would get in the bush. I'm sure the best person who could help them today will be Steve, and they would paint themselves on the eyes. Look at that, you see that? And that patch on the eye, which is very rufous, was very common in Egypt. And I'm trying to remember how they ended up being called Egyptian geese, but I'm connecting that. And all the Egyptians, and especially the ladies, how did you paint their eyes with the rufous color like dye on their eyes? And wondering where the company of this one is. Remember, keep asking your questions, keep tweeting, #SafariLive. Compare our geese to the geese you have back home, and whether they have the pink legs, the webbed feet, and whether you as a more vegetarians, or you see them feeding on, meat, feeding on other smaller birds. Always nice to watch birds, especially when the game is a bit slow. Temperatures definitely now have dropped down a lot. All right, Taylor may be having another bird.
We do, and I'm trying to call it out. It's a little green-winged pytilia, or a Melba finch, spotted by Ephraim. Now, it's actually quite curious. It's jumped up into the top of this knobthorn now, and it's because it was responding to me, going sp, 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 sp. And you can try different sorts of sounds like that to see if you get what response you get best. Whose favorite bird is this? Steve's. Oh, is it Steve Orville's favorite bird? I didn't know that. Okay, very nice. Well, there we go, Steve Orville. That was just for you. So we'll have to just tell him, obviously, that we saw it. So it was quite nice to see. Very, very nice. Oh, wonder what I have in my pocket for all of you. I wonder. What's this? Next quiz. What is this thing in my hand? Hashtag Safari Live. Talk to us via the YouTube chat. I'm going to do a little twisty turny over. Are you ready? I wish my hand could rotate and then it could be like, you know, a piece of jewelry on one of those rotating stands with a very sort of elevator music. Dun, 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 dun. That's not very nice elevator music. I'd be really annoyed. There we go. What is it? It was found in the deepest, darkest drainage line here in the Sabi Sand. No, they can look, because I don't think anyone's going to guess it. We'll see. We're in a tricking mood. I wonder what's created that hole like that, though. That's quite interesting. Well done, Angie and Bree, for giving the answer hoof. I should have been more specific. What animal does this hoof belong to? But thank you so much for identifying it as that. I'd like to know the species. I should have been more specific. But it's been in the bush for quite some time, though. This is not anything that has reason to have it so hard. Jocelyn, how'd you do that so quickly? You guessed buffalo. Craig was even stumped for one point and needed some convincing. And everyone else was guessing wildebeest. Okay, well, close enough. Well done, Jocelyn. It's from a young buffalo. And for those of you that have ever seen, well, we can draw it in the sand quickly, a buffalo's hoof. No, I need a drawing stick. I can also just use my finger, but I don't want... as a stick. Sorry, Craig. I got one. Here we go. So I can't draw very well, as most of you have seen. So buffalo tracks are fairly round. They're not this big. I'm obviously exaggerating it. But with a buffalo track, it's almost split like this into two bits. So this is one half, and I even think that this hoof has had half of it cut off like that. So I think we've just got the front bit, and we're missing the back bit. So perhaps something like a hyena was chewing on it, and I also don't think that this buffalo was very old. I think it was probably around a year or two old. It's it's exceptionally small. I'm not comparing this to the size of my track, because if I had to see a buffalo with a footprint that big, I would not go out on safari. I wouldn't. Definitely not on a bushwalk. I'd be too terrified. No. Hey, Craig, imagine seeing this buffalo 3 tons, marching down the road towards you, and they look so angry already. No, thank you. I'm okay. We'll give it a bit of a skip. We won't be doing that. That happened all too quickly. Summer, I love both bushwalks and being in the vehicle. I do enjoy spending time on bushwalk. Yeah, I think probably bushwalks are my favorite. I like it in summer when there's lots of cool little insects and things around. The grass is green. There's so many flowers, and the scents are really cool from all these beautiful flowers. So that's always quite nice. So anywhere from about September or October, after we've had the first little bit of rain, it starts to get quite good. Now in winter it becomes very tricky in terms of plants and grass, because everything is dying. Most of the plants, barring the guarri trees. Everything else seems to lose its leaves out here, or in this area. It's really just the guarri trees that have got all their leaves on them. It's tough. It gets tough. And if you aren't seeing animals, big animals like elephants in the distance, it can be a little bit harder. Can I please show you one thing? There's a chin spot batis. Can you see it, Craig? A male. Come back here. Psst, 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 psst. Psst, psst. I know I'm annoying some of you. It's still there. It's just up a little bit higher. There we go. They're both there. One's just flown off again. It's just to the right. No, they're both gone. Oh, it's still bouncing there. Yeah, there. You zooming? Yeah, you've got it. It's in there. Tiny little bird, black and white. Have you got it, Craig? I think up a little bit. It's just flown. Okay, never mind. That was a chin spot batis. It was a male and female. Should have just singing to one another. So we're going to go off and try and find some other critters now. But I'm going to send you to David.
Well, very good. The birds fly away. We also just saw some pigs that also walked away. And we are hoping our evening or afternoon will start picking up pace. It's a bit still slow now, and concentrating more on the birds. And we've got a pig in front of us. Let me see if we stop here, how he's going to behave. Let's see how Senzo that pig going to behave. not sure the first one we saw before is different. She just stopped in that bush there of the marual tree, the bush willows. Let's see what we can get closer. She's just running in the middle of the road. Well, yes, look in the front of control says Senzo, Warthogs, Bacon. What socks are you wearing today, Senzo? And Senzo today, for the first time, he's saying he's not wearing any socks, which is quite unusual. Can I see your feet, Senzo? Well, Senzo has no socks. I've never seen him without socks. I'm not sure what he's up to, but that's very unusual. He is one gentleman I have always seen or noticed. He got different varieties and types of socks. And when she would think of Amanda in the kitchen, she'll always go wearing, if she wants bacon that particular day, the previous night, she'll wear socks that are looking like, have bacon on them. And she'll always, in a clever way, request Amanda to make her bacon the following day. Well, Senzo, I know you now very well. Senzo, I know you very well. Now we got a drongo here. Let's see where this drongo will go. She might stay, she might not. Senzo, let me know when to stop. Back up. Back a bit. Keep coming. That's good. And sorry again about the pole. It's a fork-tailed drongo. And you can tell by its color against where she is patched. Nobody would miss her. And as Ralph has always said, this is his favorite bird. And she doesn't look what the certain birds that to tend to blend in or just to camouflage, to conceal or discreet themselves to be noticed by big birds of prey or like raptors. But drongos are never worried. They're always in the open because of their braveness, as Ralph likes saying, which is true. When you see small little birds that deal with raptors or birds of prey, are the drongos. Rebecca, how are you? And you're asking, is it true that drongos can mimic other animals? I know they mimic other birds. For other animals, I do not know, but I have seen them mimicking other birds. And for example, say twin-spot batties or the arrow-marked, and more so arrow-marked babblers. If they got some food or they have a party where they are feeding on, she'll just mimic them, or she'll move to a particular distance and just do an alarm call. And she does an alarm call facing a particular direction, and all the arrow-marked babblers will go where she is, and then she will sneak to where they were eating, and she'll eat all their food. That's what the fork-tailed drongo does. She's very good in mimicking. All right, Steve got some small carnivores now.
And so we have found some more. We couldn't help ourselves, but the backlight was... Oh, sorry, I'm going to speak a bit softer. Sorry, mongooses. They're living in the little termite mound, and they were responding quite nicely to a little call I was making. And they popped their heads out. And obviously they know that they're now live on international World Wide Web, which all mongooses know about, of course. I'm going to pop their heads out again. There we go. One at the bottom, one at the top. And just love these guys. Bob, it's a good question. I mean, I don't really know. They're so inquisitive. They'd probably attack any snake that came by. But also sometimes it's at their peril. So black mambas could probably be a little bit too, maybe, aggressive for them. I really don't know, Bob. I've never actually seen dwarf mongooses attacking a snake. I do know that they will do it. The snake is in a whole lot of trouble when a whole troop of mongooses comes at it, because they've got very sharp teeth. They can bite quite well, and the snake, as we know, has only got one point of attack. It's got its head, and the mongoose just surround it, and it's really difficult to defend yourself. They're very, very quick. And very inquisitive as well. Look how they're looking at you, Seb. little family of mongooses living in their termite mound. So without the termite mounds, they would really struggle out here. Wow, Minamu, that's a very deep question. Where did it originate from? Well, all predators all carnivores probably originated from some similar sort of... Oh, I have a bee that would like to play with me. Off you go, bee. All carnivores, I suppose, came from a similar sort of genetic background. Would have been some similarly smallish sort of carnivore that eventually became bigger and bigger, and as the habitat became more available, or the habitats changed, or the prey source became bigger, they slowly started to differentiate and to change and to separate on that sort of that family tree, so to speak. And obviously, predators, most of them are a certain size, and just like lions got to a certain size, and then instead of becoming more bigger lion, they basically became a family. And I suppose the mongooses got quite small, and instead of becoming bigger or smaller, they became a family. So that's where the social behavior, I suppose, came through. But that's a good question. It is a good question. But I suppose they all came from a very similar sort of lineage. Minamu, most mongooses, yes, the social structure is there's a dominant pair that generally does most of the breeding, and that alpha and female, alpha male and alpha female. And the way that they get that title is the mongooses will do something known as a groom-off, because grooming is very important in mongoose society. And if you don't know how to groom, then you cannot be in charge. So two individuals will come together and they'll start grooming each other until one stops. And the one who is continuing to groom becomes the winner and then the dominant. So they live in small families, anywhere from between 6 and maybe 20 animals. And they live together in a small unit like that, breeding periodically to supplement the numbers, and obviously moving around as a social unit, related, obviously, to a degree, just like a pride of lions. And males and females will also come and go, depending on times, and as the necessity or the troop starts getting a little bit too big, males will move off in search of greener pastures and perhaps females of their own to mate with. But they are very, very cool little animals. I'd like to spend some more time with them. They're always very interested. Donna, that's a very good question. I really do not know the answer. I would assume it's between 3 and 6, but I'm going to have to check that out for you, because I honestly don't know. Do you know, Seb?
No, I'm not sure either.
Seb's not sure. Not sure. That's why we have books. That's why we check up. Always good to have a look. But the grooming element, very, very important. Okay, so the famous Google has suggested anywhere between 1 and 4 mongoose babies at a time. Suppose we'd call them pups, wouldn't we? Yeah, we'd call them pups. So definite hierarchy in the group, and the dominant pair definitely is there. Sort of a wild dog sort of situation, just a smaller unit of, or a body size, should I say, probably a similar sort of size in numbers. But the unit themselves come together to protect against predators, namely snakes and whatever else, but there's also always someone watching out, almost like a sentry, if you will. Okay, well, we're going to look at the sun for a little while, because it is really, really beautiful. Really, really beautiful indeed.
Nice, Steve, to see the mongoose again, and they're always entertaining. And the mongoose around this area, the dwarf mongoose, and just to see them, doing their thing, moving around, feeding, playing together. That reminds me of the one I saw the other day, just tiny baby on its own on the road, and hopefully it was able to rejoin its members. She was alone, walking on the road, and we had all these theories. Was she blind? Could something have gone wrong with her? And hopefully she was able to catch up with the rest of the mongoose. So what I've done now, I've added myself an extra layer because of the big drop of temperature, and it's getting pretty chilly now. And Senzo says this is the time for the animals to come out, right, Senzo? What animals are you talking about, Senzo, that are coming out? And Senzo will always dream of leopards. Anytime you ask him what do you want to see, you'll ask him what bird do you want to see, he always says leopard, leopard. And I think he has a very special place in his heart for leopards. He says he's a loudman as much as, he loves leopards. Males or females, Senzo? Well, he says males, but I know he always prefers the females. All right, we're keeping still our eyes on the ground. We have not been very lucky. Sorry, Senzo, I didn't mean to be a bit impolite, but that's the fact. I've always known how when you see Tandy, how you get excited in Kuchava. Okay, there's another drongo there. I don't know where these drongos are coming from. So you see that other drongo there? Just flee away. Not a problem. Sorry about the pole. Just flew away. And they're just making a bit of noise here. Oh, we got another Steinbach there, Senzo. How is that angle? Is it good? Or you want me to move forward or backwards? Do you see it there? Okay. Just lay down in that grass. Exactly. Well done, Senzo. I think it's the way sometimes these animals behave a bit, peculiar, because like the one we saw earlier was very cooperative. This is a different one, and I'm saying this is fully grown. If you look at the size of the horns, they're almost the size of the ears. This is a fully grown, this is full adult. It's a full adult male, maybe about 11 kilos, 23 kilos in weight, when fully grown. And I think that the ticks or flies are quite a nuisance, and he's not very comfortable with them. Sometimes we've seen like moths going to the eyes, and they'll always be sucking the tears or cleaning the ears. Hello, Steinbach. We can see you there. Don't think we can see you, but I'm sure the predators may not see you there because you blend in very well. Veronica, that's a great comment. I mean, who would not want to, enjoy this? And you say, yes, he is so adorable, Monica. Yes, and truly he is. Just looking, staying there, staring at us, and enjoying his life. And I'm sure he's very well fed. So just sit there, take it easy. He doesn't have to move a lot because the temperature is good. The wind is very still now. And I would guess that's why he is so relaxed. Turn your ear. I'll always love these ears. And I've said many times, it's like a leaf or someone came and painted. Senzo loves painting his ears once in a while. Senzo, can you think you can paint an ear of a Steinbach for me at one point? Senzo says yes. Big ears, small heads. Just like the giraffe with the big ears and not being very proportional to the size of the head. But either way, as much as they rest, they'll have to keep picking any sound. They don't want to be caught off guard by either a leopard or any other predator. Fantastic to see a second Steinbach so relaxed, and I'm sure the bushwalk team is doing something nice.
Well, Craig is a little bit worried about me because I've been dragging this stick for the last little while behind me on the floor because I thought it was quite fascinating and I didn't want to hang around for too long in case we could find something better in the distance. So anyways, that's not the interesting part up top. It's what's happened over here. It's basically like I've got a big grin. Just checking to see everyone's still awake. Everyone's still awake? Everyone's still awake. So then if you're awake, you should be able to tell me what's going on here. Wonderful. No, I thought I'd be very concerned if all the final control had decided to bring their duvets and pillows and go to bed today. But from all of you that are watching, you can tell me what animal has done this to this tree. Hashtag Safari Live. Again, it's easy ones. I'm just checking to see that you're all still up and nobody has signed off and gone to bed early or have used that excuse they had to go to work. We don't want to be hearing any of that today. Just joking, of course. If you have to go to work, you've got to go to work. That's just one of those things. But the animal that has done this is largely responsible for turning this area that we're looking at now into a semi sort of grassland area, although it doesn't look like it now because we've got to the edge of the drainage line. But the area we've just come from, there were some patches with some really, really big open places, lots of stumps, but no sort of trees around. Who's not quick on their fingers today? Yay. David, you were the first one to get it. Well done. You've all said elephants. I believe there was a large response, so well done to all of you. Like I said, it was an easy one. And so this is what we're going to see. This is not particularly fresh. I think this has happened maybe a couple of days ago, maybe even a week ago or so, where they've broken the branch. And you can actually see, look at from the molars grinding down on the bark, which is quite cool to actually see. And just stripping away all of this and feasting on the cambium layer. It's their favourite. So they really don't like this outside stuff. But elephants are so important. So are buffalo, so are impala, so are all the bird species, all the insects. They're all really important. But in terms of turning these very sort of thick wooded areas, well, I suppose we have to say thanks to the elephants. They are really the ones that are responsible for helping create sort of open areas. Then that buffalo, wildebeest, zebra, that all like these open places will have more space to feed. Because we always talk about how dense Djuma actually is. It's very, very thick in terms of the tree cover. And because of that, we don't see a lot of, I suppose, big grazers. Well, even though elephant is a big grazer, they also change their diet quite slightly. And then they're also responsible for dwarfing. Them and the impala. Elephants and impala are the kings of dwarfing trees. And then when you get into areas like this, you often find the encroaching species too, which would have caused the build-up of vegetation around here. So things from the guarri trees to the tambutis, black monkey orange, they all encroach. And most of those species, when you see those trees around, you don't see much grass around them either. And that's because they are able to basically, I suppose, send toxins, if you will, chemical signals down into the ground and prevents everything from growing around them. So it's basically ensuring the survival of that tree. They're gaining now all of the minerals, all of the different things that will be down in the ground. So from the phosphorus to the nitrogen, that plant is just getting it, rather than the grass. There's no competition for the water underneath the ground. So it's fairly clever, except it causes a problem because often those trees aren't particularly tasty to feed on. So we've got to say thanks to the elephants for controlling a couple of those. And then, of course, conservation too. Now, we're about to enter down into a drainage line over here, so I'm going to keep my eyes open for a couple of owls. And I bet Steve is doing the same.
My eyes are wide open. Wide open. Mongooses, dwarf mongooses everywhere. And some spurfowl just in front of us there. Seb, can you get it? Whoop, he's going to hide. The Natal spurfowl, busy hiding in the bushes. There you go. Very easy classified by that orange beak and the orange legs. Sometimes you might confuse for the crested francolin. It's got a black beak. Beautifully camouflaged with that colour, if they'd stop moving. Excuse me, very good at scratching around in the dirt. Very good distributors of seeds. Primarily feed on bulbs and things this time of year, vegetation and bulbs, and whatever insects they can scratch out of elephant dung. The grass seeds that they might find. Feed on a lot of insects in the summer months when they're around. But they're a little bit in short supply right now. Oops, there he goes. Back into the bushes. That is exactly what they do. Marvellous. We got a nice bird. Talking about birds, we're going to try and find another bird today. Need to find out exactly which one it is, because we found my favorite bird. Did she? Yeah, I think I heard what she said. Okay, well, apparently Taylor's favorite bird is Sagittarius serpentaris, which, if you don't know what that means, folks, it is basically meaning a bird that likes snakes, and I believe it is the secretary bird. Am I wrong? I'm not very good with my bird scientific names, to be honest. I've never needed them. And the chances of us getting Taylor's bird this afternoon, we were going to make a nice gesture and try to find her favorite bird. But I don't think there's much chance of finding. I'd love to find one. I'd love to find you one. Really would love to find you one. I saw one on my drive here when I came back from leave. I just stopped. There was one on the side of the road. And I was like, what? All on my own. No one else with me. How many times have I done that in my life? Seen something amazing and you turn around and be like, there's no one there. Yeah, it happens. It happens. So you know what you do? You just breathe and you enjoy it for yourself. Enjoy it in the moment for yourself. So sorry, Taylor, we're not going to be able to get the trifecta of favourite birds this afternoon. So maybe she's got a second favourite, Luke, that she knows we potentially could find. Potentially, because I doubt we'll find a secretary bird. Yeah. I smell wood smoke. Smell in the African wilderness, wood smoke. As long as it's not a fire burning in the bush that could potentially rage away and keep us all up all night working to combat it. That smell of a beautiful bonfire around a lodge. And we are indeed close to Gallagher Lodge and Gallagher Watering Hole. Okay, she wants to find the Schlegger Mafazi, which is the cackling woman bird, which is, and she said this herself, the bird that resembles her, it is the green wood hoopoes. Well, that I think we could possibly do. Green wood hoopoes. They are around. I've been seeing more babblers of late than I have the green wood hoopoes. And here we are, as I said, at Gallagher Watering Hole. Everybody has to come and have a drink at some point. We'll have a little listen around, see what we can hear. Crested Franklin in the background, that very high-pitched alarm clock sound. That is beautiful, Seb.
Thank you.
Yes, we will try. We will try our best to do this for Taylor. I have not seen one in a couple of days, greenwood hoopoe, but they are quite a common bird. Okay, well, we're going to keep searching around the two watering holes down here by the lodges, and in the meantime, let's go over to David.
All right, I'm going to try and also give them a bit of challenge on what to... Okay, let's see whether you can see this Franklin Leslie that is on top of this termite mound. I don't know what you think of that angle there, Senzo. That's good. We got, sorry about the roof, but we got a crested Franklin right on top there. And what a strategic place for it to put itself. But definitely food will always put bats where they need to be. And that's the crested Franklin. It's pink legs, you can see the stripe on the eyebrow there. Maybe looking for termites, maybe not now, it's a bit early, until maybe at night when they come out. She's coming out on the other end, coming down her pink legs. Did you get anything for yourself up there? Always going twos. I'm sure she's still feeding herself. There's a drongo in the background that made a bit of a call, and she looked. And my guess is a male. You see the spur on its feet there. That is always telling the difference between the males and the females. They always have some spur, and the males will use those spurs to fight. Let me see if we can show you one on the book. Franklin, and males more fighting than the females. All right, Franklins. So the one you're just watching there. Okay. So this is number 2. This is what we're just watching here, and that's the crested francolin. And you can see this is the spurs I'm talking about, right there, right behind there. And they use them a lot when they fight, especially on the males. And they're quite a tool, I would say, or to me, it's quite a weapon that can tear your skin if you're not very careful. If you see them bruising each other's eyes, especially when they have chicks, you do not want to come close to them when you have the males defending the chicks. All right, Taylor, top.
I'm at a graveyard, David. We are. Look how big this buffalo is. The lions have obviously taken down this buffalo and feasted upon it, but I'm going to actually lay flat. I don't want to get my hair dirty because I washed it today, so I'm rested on my book. But look how long it is. The horns, the display of horns is massive. I mean, that's more than half of my body. That's probably about there, so to my belt, so just sort of above my hip bone, really. That's incredible. I can't believe that. This is huge. I don't think I'd be able to lift it up, to be honest. Okay, are we ready? We're going to try. Craig, what's happened? You got yourself stuck there. Craig got himself very stuck. This is the weightlifting championships of 2018 for the month of June here on Safari Live. Are you ready for this? I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to do it. Remember to bend your knees. That's more. That's like 20 kilograms at least. I can't actually. No, I can't. It's too much. Look at that. No ways. Now we need to come and collect this. This needs to go to the tent. That is a ginormous buffalo skull. Hey? I can't believe how big it is either. I think this could be the biggest buffalo skull I've ever seen. Maybe it's a Mara buffalo. I feel like this one has come all the way from Kenya. That's incredible, just the size of its head. Now, undoubtedly, this buffalo would have been taken down, I think, maybe in 2015 during the drought, because a bull of this size would have put up a serious fight if he was in healthy condition. However, if weakened because of the lack of nutrition, well, then I suppose it's anyone's game. That's so crazy. Luke is being ugly. Lucas says this buffalo skull is nearly as big as James. He's mean. Anyways, I'm going to tell James that he said he's coming back next week. I'm going to tell him. Of course, we're just joking. James, we love you. We miss you. Please come back home now. No, Luke is panicking. But I think this is really spectacular. Very typical. The sort of the base of the nose over here is normally not around. It normally has been broken off, and you can see there how it has been broken off quite a bit. And that's, of course, because the animals will suffocate their prey. Normally there will always be a lion over here trying to clamp the nose down. Might have another one biting on the esophagus or windpipe just a little bit further down below. But this bull, I think, definitely would have put up a fight. It is really, really big. I'm actually going to drop a pin because I'm not going to be able to take it home, unfortunately. I am going to have to go get a vehicle and then come in here and then come and fetch it. But, I mean, look at all around you. Look at all the bones. This is all from one buffalo. Remember I was saying the last bushwalk how you can just have one animal die, one big animal like a buffalo, When you see an elephant, it looks like a number of different animals have died in an area like this. And all the hyenas have come through here. They've chewed on this. And the reason why I know that the hyenas would have visited the site is if you come with me, just over here around the corner, is that you can actually see some remnants here. Craig keeps getting stuck. We're in a very, like I said, we've gone through a drainage line, so we're still quite close to the drainage line, lots of trees around. But you can see here's some white dung as well. Not eggs this time, like we tried to trick you all. Was it yesterday afternoon that we were on bushwalk? I can't remember. These days, they all just blend into one. Anyways, but that's really cool. So they have been around here again. This is not very fresh dung either. This happened quite some time ago. But very interesting nonetheless, though. Definitely going to come back and get this skull and compare it with the others. Right, let's go see if David has ever found a big buffalo skull like the one we did.
I've come to the same area, so hyenas this morning. Taylor talking of hyenas. The two hyenas that kept running in a particular direction. They started initially walking, then they increased their gait, and I thought they could have been going somewhere. I followed them, and I totally lost them. So I'm trying to come to the same area and finding out if I could see them, because something told me they could be having some food. It's one big impala male here. I don't know what he's looking at. Let's just see. Sorry, impala. Just stop, slow down, impala. We're just wanting to see the direction you're looking at and finding out whether you're looking at anything. You see that impala there? But we've got a bad angle on the... Oh, that's better sense. Well done. There's something that is taking its attention. But what is most important is these animals will see things we'll never see ourselves. And you can tell from that posture, he's looking at something with intent, not winking. Well, he moves away, and that gives us a chance maybe to move forward and look at the direction he was looking. So he just stopped again and still looking in the same direction. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to move forward a bit and see whether we can increase your two eyes and my two eyes and look where he is looking, because you can tell from the way he is looking there's something in that direction. There's something he can see that I cannot see, so we need to keep our eyes around there, and it could be something to me that he does not like. Brian, how are you? And you're asking where are my cheetahs from earlier this week. It was so fun to have those cheetahs, Brian. But what happens? The animals are always on the move. And what they did, they went out of the property after giving us such a wonderful play, especially for the cubs, Brian. But to think in the next few days, Brian, they might come back. They might come back, and I think what that impala was looking was a pig. And nothing big. Yeah, Brian, they went out of our property, and we're looking forward to them coming back again. And there's nothing as good to see cheetahs, and seeing cheetahs with cubs, it's even super special. And those cubs are so full of energy, just like Kalamba, the leopard, the impala there. The small little princess of Tandy. I'm sure that impala was looking at these two male impalas, 2 plus the warthog. And why he doesn't want to come and join them, I have no idea. Yeah, Brian, once those cheetahs come back, we'll definitely let you know. They'll always be in the property, out of the property. And of course, that is always determined by food, where they need to go and hunt. And that's the beauty of the wilderness here. The animals control themselves. They decide where to go. And I would say the last 1 month we've been lucky. In 1 month we have seen them 3 times. And hopefully they'll come back. Alrighty, moving on. We need to start singing some songs, Senzo, to get the animals out. You remember one time we designed a chorus with you. What happened to that chorus? Do you remember? There's a chorus we came up with. I don't know what happened to it. And you can see here what the elephants will do. Can you see this bush, Senzo? If I jump out, that'll be okay for you? Or am I too close? And this is definitely a buffalo thorn from what I can see here. And it has been uprooted. That's where the actual tree was. See that sensor there? That's where the actual tree was. And definitely elephants uprooted the whole tree. And now during winter, this is what they'll be feeding on. So once they get this stem here, they'll chew the bark. And that's where all the nutrition is. And then this one stays there. And Senzo is trying to tell me to, well, back in the village, for sugarcane, this is perfect, Senzo, but not this stem. I mean, just too hard. I would prefer Amanda's food, but not this. So this stem, that one there, and of course a bit of root. But the good thing we always say, as the elephants left, this was left on the ground and doing a bit of mulching on the grass around this area. So elephants, as much as they do damage, they also take care of the ecosystem. And it's not the buffalo thorns that you want to hook on your skin, because they can tear you like the spur I was talking about with the crested francolin. Well, this is just because it's winter, and ellis will be diversifying what they're eating from the grass now to bushes, be it leaves, be it twigs, be it roots. And they'll be knocking a few trees down, but at the same time taking care of the ecosystem. Let's find out how the tracking is going.
I cannot believe that this is not a hyena den. I've literally found the most perfect hyena potential denning site, but there's no burrows that are going deep down and inside, but they've got good claws, they're good diggers. They could probably come and do a bit of renovations over here. But how stunning is this? It's beautiful. Firstly, it's big. It's really, it's not too steep. It's quite wide, but it's also tall enough that you can dig down deep enough in it without having to get to, I suppose, the bottom earth. What's wrong with me? My words are all gone today. But somebody's definitely been here, whether it's been elephants that have been standing, having a dust bath, kicking away at the soil. Maybe it was them. It looks like somebody's been here and pulled up grass and roots and things like that. There are very few animals that will do that, other than something like an elephant. Maybe a warthog, but the fact that all the roots are still intact like this, I think it was the ellies coming through here, feasting upon this termite mound, and then, of course, creating these little depressions. But if something like an aardvark or a hyena would come here, it would be amazing. Actually, I'm just trying to see what's up ahead. Oh, there are little... Oh, yeah. Now, Zach, they sort of do. Mongoose and smaller creatures will use a termite mound for a certain period of time, and maybe that's what this one is being used for, is in fact mongoose. Look at this tunnel. It looks like someone's been going in and out there. There's a few spider webs, but you can see at one point someone was definitely utilizing it. Whether there's a snake in there now, or maybe a Speke's hinge tortoise is reversed in there. The biggest problem, of course, with staying in the same burrow for a very long time is the build-up of parasites. Also, just watching Craig slide. He's going to avalanche his way down onto the floor in a minute. The other thing is, of course, the scent starts to build up. So if you're a small mammal, you might find that predators and things will seek you out a lot easier. So they tend to move, but parasites are a huge problem. So, for instance, maybe they'll use the same burrow for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I suppose it depends on a lot of things. Where they're flooded out, did they need to go somewhere else? What is the story? What's actually going on? So all those different types of things will kind of depend from animal to animal. But you find warthogs typically will use the same burrow for about 2 weeks or so and then move off. Look how beautiful the sunset is from here. Isn't that lovely? Now take care. I suppose, yeah, this termite mound's not too far away from Gallagher Pan, and we know that there's 2 different sources of water within that area. of course, the freshly pumped water into the pan, and then the grey water that's coming from some of our accommodation, which we were chatting about just the other day, that's now starting to just sort of trickle into one of the drainage lines. And I said a lot of the animals are drinking from there rather than Gallagher Pan, which is going to be a hot spot in the next couple of weeks or so. So yeah, we're not far as a crow flies, maybe 100 meters or so. I mean, Gallagher Pan is just over here. You can't see it. It's a little bit thick, unfortunately, but it is just down that way. You'll have to take my word for it. But I thought this is a lovely little spot. Anyways, apparently the hyenas don't think so, and I've got no sort of real expertise in the kinds of houses that hyenas like. Anyways, let's go and find out from Steve, if he was a hyena, what kind of house he would live in.
I'm not sure if she said if I am one or am one, but definitely a hole in the ground. Hole in the ground is a wonderful place to be, as long as no one else is living there, of course. And as James experienced, it gets quite smelly inside those holes. But right now we thought we might just give you a little bit of the sunset. It's going to be beautiful. There's a very nice sort of amount of cloud in the sky, blown in from this morning, which gives some really, really beautiful colors. So what we're going to do, if you're all happy, after a question, we're going to just sit very quietly and enjoy the sunset. But we can go for Ravinder's question first, Luke. Ravinder, well, the time now is, it's just almost hit 5 o'clock, so 10 past 5, 5:15, 20 past 5, it's pretty dark already. 25 past 5, it's black. So it's going very quickly in our winter months. We're not even at the full of winter yet. It's coming up. So now we're going to just keep quiet for a moment and listen to the ambience of the African wilderness. Indeed, everybody, and including Ashley, very, very beautiful. And just give it another few more moments, if you will, if you all have the time. We most certainly do. Light is starting to just fade into those beautiful clouds. Deep breath, everybody. Just one moment longer, if you will. As the bush sound starts to close down for the night. Yes, the sun sets very quickly, moving at an incredible speed. The birds are starting to close down, and another animal that's going to start worrying as the night comes in, whether there are lions around. There's a very tall one. I think he's looking right at David.
It's always wonderful to have a moment of silence in life, and giraffes, I wonder, at any one point they pause and they tell themselves in their heart, I need to have a moment of silence, as this particular one is just pulling the leaves out of that mgwari bush. I've always seen them like picking up, one leaf or one leaf after the other, but what I can see is just putting them in the mouth, just pulling them out. And with the oxpecker there, as if you're trying to scissor through to get the parasites. Any kind of ticks that could be on his back. Looks like to me he's a big boy, he's a male. And from where I am, I can just hear him like just tearing and pulling out the leaves. Hope I can hear that. Krr, krr. See how he's cleaning that bush, eh? Just look at that. It's like shaving someone with a razor blade, eh? Or some very nice shavers. He just like, pulling them through like how you get the feathers out of a chicken, eh? Normally when we see them feeding on thorn trees, they always tend to pick one leaf after the other with the help of the tongue and the prehensile lips. But here he's opening the mouth and just cleaning the whole twig. Not sure that means he's hungry. Brian, as much as, giraffes are herbivores, they have been known to nibble on bones, and not only giraffes, even many other animals like the elands. And we have always thought what they're looking for calcium. So I think they'll always, what they can't get actually the plant material, you'll see giraffes like licking, and sometimes they even go to the bone marrow. And our thinking is they try to get some kind of magnesium, but more so calcium or phosphorus from the bones. You see them when they see either dead buffaloes kicking the bones and trying like to nibble on the sides, the part that could be a bit soft. And elands will also do the same. And this is the southern giraffe. We've got about 3 other races of giraffes, or 3 other types of giraffes. And the hornbills there, or rather the oxpeckers, are not letting go. Thank you, Senzo. We started with 1 and think now he got 4 around that area. And you can see that area has much bigger fur, or like more bigger mane on the neck. And most likely that's where the parasite will tend to hide. And that's why you see all those oxpeckers in that particular section of that particular area and not any other part of the body. So as the giraffe is eating, they are also enjoying a meal. How majestic is that tall animal there? And the oxpeckers, I usually wonder, are they parasites, or do they have, a symbiotic relationship with the animals they get the parasites off? Is always a big debate. Thank you, Mr. Giraffe. Again, sorry about that, Paul. As we move on, I don't see any clouds now that would bring any rain, but we'll keep a roof until the end of it. We don't want to be caught off guard. And Senzo going to complain to me I allowed his equipment to be rained on, and he'll not be very happy with me. Right, Senzo? Yeah, Senzo says we need to protect his equipment. Otherwise, that's his tool of job. Without a camera, Senzo feels very useless, and I think it's like a soldier going to war without a gun. Senzo, do you agree? Fantastic. All right, there's someone standing by a watering hole.
We are at the waterhole and we've got an ant, but it is ginormous. What ant is it? I've seen this species once before, and then I must be honest, I completely forgot to actually identify it. What are you doing? You seem very wobbly on your legs. It's picked up a piece of grass or something. No, it hasn't. It was its antenna. Sorry, I'm trying to watch from a distance. It does look like it's trying to get something. You know what I'm going to do? So I'm actually going to use my binoculars. I'm going to stand a little bit away You don't have to use your binoculars as like a magnifying glass. I'm just trying to see where it is. Because I'm struggling to kind of see. Is it? No, I can't. Thank you. Luke is telling me. Luke's saying it's murdering the little ants in his exact words. Goodness gracious, perhaps it's the Grim Reaper version of a big ant. Oh, shame. That's interesting. Has anybody ever seen this ant before? I mean, if you can take some screenshots and share them with us, that's great. I'll have a little look in my insect book and see if they talk about this. It's enormous. In terms of size, it's probably about between 2 and maybe 3 centimeters, maybe even 3.5 centimeters. And I'm talking about just from the head to the thorax. To the abdomen, sorry, not to the edge of the antennas, but it's got exceptionally long antenna as well. It seems to be quite clumsy. Is it murdering the ants again? Oh no, that's so bizarre. And then it didn't, Craig, did it look like it ate it? I don't think, just coming out to kill them. That's unusual. Jason, let me tell you, that is a serious ant. If the Matabele ants or the Siafu ants were as large as this one and they came into my tent, I would run. Thank goodness the Siafu ants are only about half that size, even though they pack a punch. Remember we were telling you about them in the Mara, how they'd come into our rooms and start nibbling away at us. It was terrifying. But it does seem to be a bit unsteady, so I wonder what's wrong with it. I mean, I don't think it can be dehydrated. It's actually going to the edge of another ant nest now. This pile of soil here that you just saw, that was part of the ant's nest. Let's see. I suppose we can watch and learn. And its antennae are an interesting colour. The base of them is quite dark, and then towards the tip, they're almost blonde. And you can see it's definitely using them to help sort of feel its way around. Sorry, I'm getting down and low now. Oh, it's got something stuck on its foot. I think that an ant is trying to fight back. It's going to need to call in the reinforcements, though, to fight this fella. It's like the Godzilla version of ants trampling through a small town. Right, anyways, from this sighting, we're going to go to Steve, who's got something a little bit more peaceful.
The dance of the Nyala bull. There are 3 of them here, and that's Vuetela Lodge in the background. We're just here next to the pan, the watering hole, and the 2 males on the right are doing the elaborate Nyala dance with the erected hair on the back of the neck, called piloerection. I don't want to go any closer lest I disturb them in their very deliberate dance with the very ballerina-like toes. Their head is held very low. The fur is erected to make them look very big. And if one feels it's big enough, it will continue to dance, and both will feel they're big enough, and then it can lead to a battle. The one closest to us definitely performing the dance with absolute precision. Look how delicately it moves its feet, its legs. This is always very special to watch, and if you were a viewer at Vuetela Lodge right now, you could be watching this from the comfort of that lounger in the back there while sipping on a cocktail. Wouldn't that be marvellous? With their very bright orange socks. Brie does look like slow motion. It's always very funny. But almost immediately they can suddenly launch into an attack when they are close enough to each other. This individual seems to be the only one who's really having a go. The one at the back, although his hair on his back is erect, he's not really doing too much in the way of dancing. But have a look at this first guy. His front feet, how deliberately he places them. Albeit it is very special to see this. Nyala don't have a mating season, so this can happen really at any time. But quite often, individuals are not equally matched at all. So one will show a bit of a dance and the rest will just give up immediately. As what seems to be happening, there's not too much interest coming from these other 2 individuals, although He is showing a bit of a mane. So often this might happen in moments and be over in moments as the smaller of the two gives up immediately by start feeding or grooming itself or whatever. But you can see that the other two don't seem at all as interested as this guy. His lone circular walking. Take care. What kind of music do you listen to? This is exactly how you dance, to every tune. Very slow music, I suppose. See, that one's given up. You can see that one is moving its ears, its head is up. Even though the hair is still erect on the back, it's not really in play. But this other individual, and the interesting thing is there's not even any ladies around. It's only a few impala. There we go. The one on the left has started to get into his role. Brian, the white lines on the back and sides, well, the back essentially, that ridge of hair is to stand up and to aid in making them look bigger, and the white lines on the side assist in camouflage, just like those little dots on the back of the hip there. It helps to break up their outline, and they disappear in the vegetation. They are quite bush-loving animals, and they disappear in the thickets, and that is their form of defense against predators, to stand very still and to disappear. But in this case, it's using that white fur to make itself look enormous. Like it's just come out of the gym. It's all pumped up and looking very strong. By intimidating your opponent, you can often lead you can often win a battle without ever fighting. And ideally, when you've got massive, sharp horns on the top of your head like that, you want to avoid fighting as much as possible, because as good as you might be with those horns, your opponent might be better. And those horns, if getting to the body, will easily penetrate the heart, easily penetrate the rib cage, can lead to the death of these animals. Hence why the Nyala have developed this very intricate dance. You can see it's very intricate. Yes, Jason, definitely one too many apple juices, but this individual now, you see it's starting to chew now. He's lost the willingness, and our first individual is a little bit disappeared behind the tree there, so I'm not sure what his posture is. He's also stopped. So it seems as if they're all equal today. No winners in this battle. No, Tom, it's completely silent. It's like a Charlie Chaplin movie, just very slow. There we go. He's coming in from the side. He sees that one's given up. He's going to come and challenge him. Is he? You see, they like to hang out in groups, bachelor herds, the Nyalas. And obviously they'll practice their fighting and their sizing of each other up. And, you can't learn this dance overnight. It takes years of practice to get it right down to that integral art of completely dissuading your opponent by a mere shuffle of one's hoof. Okay, I'm not 100% sure, but it's probably got something to do with how we are able to make our hair stand up when we get sort of goosebumps. There must be some form of ability to stand it up there. A lot of birds are able to erect the fur or the feathers on the back of their head. White-tailed mongoose are also able to puff themselves up. The aardwolf is able to puff themselves up, make the hair look much bigger. So it's just a sort of a way of contracting the skin, I'd say, and just like an automatic response or a manual response that they might have. We need to be cold for our hairs to stand up, but they must be able to activate those muscles on their own. See, so this is how it starts. They walk parallel to each other. Have a look at the size. Have a look at the size. They puff up the fur. And they're doing the catwalk right now, measuring each other per step by step, bearing in mind animals like this can see sideways and a little bit backwards, so they are fully aware of what the other one is doing. They don't have to look directly at that animal to see what it's doing. So let's see if once they get past this branch, if they break into... See, he's starting to go a little bit slower, the one in the front, but he's still busy chewing. He's not completely committed. But he does look a bit bigger, doesn't he, the closest one? You look at the neck. And it's all got to do with the fur, really. He's busy chewing there. He's not too excited about this. A little bit of practice dancing. Brenda, I'm not 100% sure in the animal kingdom if there's another mammal that does anything similar, but this dance is not necessarily the mating dance. This dance is the dominance dance between males. So, see, there's not even a female watching. If he was doing this to court the female, well, we could understand maybe a little bit of an interesting dance, but I'm trying to think of any other mammal that maybe has a dance. I know that there's lots of birds that do dances. I can't think offhand, Seb. Any ideas? Can't think offhand, but these two have lost interest, and the first individual, he's lost interest as well, and they're going to slowly fade off into the afternoon. Destiny, they do it, I mean, I suppose as often as they need to. You know, when the breeding season's happening, and the breeding season, there's no real breeding season, well, Seb, we've got the family of wildebeest is going to come down on the left there while we look at them. So I've seen Yalas do this a number of times in one day, but it all depends really on what's going on. If there's a rival male, coming in, then he quite often will do the dominance display quite quickly, and immediately that male will do something in response. So, and also it depends what hormones are in the air, what hormones are flying around. You know, it's boys and their games, I suppose. So I couldn't tell you exactly, but it definitely happens more times than not at certain days, and with hormones in the air and with breeding females around. And no doubt there were some breeding females nearby at some stage that's got the hormones up in the boys. And so they're a little bit excited to show off their wares to each other. Okay, well, I've been chatting for a long time. We're going to wait here and wait for our wildebeest herd to come down. But in the meantime, let's see whereabouts on the reserve is David Gitu.
Great dance, Steve, over for the Nyalas. Is one dance I've been waiting to see. I'm sure once I go back to the camp, I'll watch a clip of that. And the Nyala dance, I think, is always something exciting. I remember 3 days ago we had agreed we'll do a dancing competition. I don't know what happened, but it was only for the boys. It was me, Steve, and Ruff, and unfortunately, Ruff is not on the drive today, and that is something I will need to follow up and see how that will go. Otherwise, we could compare the Nyalas dancing and the guides dancing, and more so the boys dancing. Senzo, would you like to join us? Make it 4 boys. Senzo says yes. We've got 3 boys. We've got me, Steve, and Ruff, and we agreed we are going to do a dancing competition. The other day, Steve brought us a challenge. Yesterday, we were doing a birds challenge, where, of course, Taylor won. And 2 days earlier, we were doing some call of animals. I can't remember what. Oh, Ruff did one for the impalas. I did one for the lions. And Steve was rolling on the ground. Yes, we're trying to look for some dominancy, and I think Ruff won. And we agreed from then we're going to do one for dancing and for the boys only. You're always on a winning team. All right, let's just watch those lapwings in the water. That's a good angle for you, Senzo. As all those glove noise. Is that a good angle? Sorry again about the pole. Well, we got a beautiful girl, Taylor, saying I need to do a dance before I go and leave. But then I wanted all of us to be in it so that we can have a proper competition and see, and maybe even invite Taylor, because yesterday she embarrassed us by the way she beat us by seeing so many, bird species.
Yeah, we can start today.
And Senzo says you should start today at one point. So, okay. So some today, Senzo says, and maybe the rest tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. Blacksmith lapwings, always on the edge of the water feeding. They're always very lucky they have a choice of aquatic organisms, shrimps, any insect floating on the surface there. But at the same time, you'll also see them going away from the water and feeding on insects or other seeds. Monogamous, always a male and a female together. Any other bird that might come around this area, you'll see them chasing it away. Good top sensor to see the reflection of that one in the water. Aha, there's a third one there, which is surprising. See, they don't get so close to each other. So as the organism or as the water keeps moving, you see they also keep moving, following the food, but always eating on a very fast pace. And so I think of the three, this one is doing better than the other two together. Cool, Lapwing. All right. We need to keep moving, and I can smell some challenge coming. I do not know what challenge it is, but let's move on as we wait to hear what Taylor might be saying. Okay.
You've got me. I first want to know, though, I really want to know, did David do a dance? Did he? What did he do? I need to know these things. He didn't. Then I'm not doing a dance. David, I'm sorry. I'll challenge you on another day, though. But you issued the challenge, so you have to set the standard. That's how these things go out here. But there's something I want to show you. Are you ready? Come, Craig. Don't trip. Watch your head. Yeah, look. We've got ya.
Okay, well, I have no idea what has happened that side, but Luke is in hysterics in my ear, so I have no doubt that all sorts of interesting things have happened on the bushwalk. Okay, so Taylor tried to sneak in on the FC people, and I don't think they wanted that to happen. But anyway, we are here with the herd of wildebeest that I claim to be my own after my territorial display only a few nights ago. There we go, little youngster, playing around with mum, no doubt. Can you believe that that individual there was only born in December? How they have grown. You can tell by just that straightness of the horns. They've lost the brown, that sort of chocolatey brown colour that they had. And beautiful. They are really. I love the skin. I love how tight the skin is. Yeah, so the viewers were happy to see FC for only a moment. I was wondering why Luke got extremely panicky there as the wildebeest comes down for a drink. Look how excited it is. I'm so happy to have a drink, it says. Been waiting all day. That is probably a 1-year-old. 1.5-year-old, that one. There's the youngest of the group, just walking in. All the dry grass around, a drink of water is very necessary. Here comes the last one, trotting in with a beautiful gait. And now we have got a line of African salutes. The bottom of an animal, always a beautiful African salute. Now we wish we were on the other side, don't we, Seb?
Yeah.
But they're a little bit jumpy for the car, so I'm not going to start up and go any closer. It is amazing to see. Their long black snouts licking their lips. Waiting. I think they're waiting for Dad to come and join. is on his way down, the old grizzled man. There he comes, but it appears as if the herd is going to move off in a different direction to him. He's come to say, okay, your drinking time is up, come back to my area. It is his midden that I was rolling in the other day, I can assume. He's just a little bit darker than the females, and you see how his horns, if he looks at us, his horns extend past his ears. It's a little bit bigger. It's quite difficult sometimes to identify the difference between male and female wildebeest. It's one of the things that allow the males to stay within a herd for a long period of time. They kind of get mistaken for females, and if they don't behave like a male, they don't scratch and they don't roll in their own dung, they kind of get ignored for a period of time. And a little bit of grazing afterwards. Now the belly is full of water. He's going to walk into shot from the right-hand side. Oh, they're making some noises. Very small.
Well, time for a drink for everybody. And just gotten a bit cold now. I'm thinking if I would want to drink something, I would want to drink some hot cup of tea. Senzo, do you feel like drinking something, Senzo?
Yes.
And Senzo has been waiting to hear for the challenge to come from Taylor. It did not come, but then we think tomorrow morning should be the time for the big challenge to come, and we shall have each guide with the each guide with the camera operator in front of the car on the hood, and they'll be framed together by the camera, and they'll have a 2 minutes of dance non-stop. So that's going to be for tomorrow. So we'll have 6. Yeah, because Taylor has, chickened out. Senzo is still a bit worried what happened to Taylor, but I'm telling him Taylor chickened out because she knew she'd lose, and that will be tomorrow morning. So we'll have 3 gates and 3 come-ups, and we shall have 3 different teams, and then we shall also have 2 different prizes. One prize will be for a team, a corporate group for dancers, and we have another prize for individual dancer. All right? So do you agree? So I think Steve should be up to the task. Very good. And look in the final control says that sounds like a good plan. So we'll have 2 types of dance categories. Number 1 will be for 2 people, and all of them 2 minutes non-stop, but without any sound. You dance your own style, but without any sound. And then the second category of the dancing will be individual dances. So we shall have 3 sets, and then 6 dances. So it'll be 12 minutes, and another 6 minutes. So you're talking of 20 minutes of non-stop dancing. And then we shall have all of you as viewers giving the score on which team will come out better. And the team will come down or will lose most that particular morning. They'll have no breakfast. And the team that will win maybe will have the breakfast of the losers. So do you agree? Well, Senzo is saying instead of dancing on the hood of the car, the best place to dance will be on top of a termite mound. Let's see how that will go. I hope Taylor and Steve are up to it, and they'll be willing to join in that dancing competition for tomorrow morning. And Luke says yes, that's the idea, and for fetching the breakfast. Or do you think, Luke, they should miss dinner altogether instead of breakfast? All right, Luke is quite sympathetic, but with a choice, I would say they would miss, dinner and let's take this route here. They would miss dinner and just have breakfast, and that's it. Well, we'll see what they all say, and we should make sure if Ralph is around. Well done, Luke. Well done, Luke. I like Luke's idea. And Luke says the losing team should go to the kitchen, and you are going to give Amanda a break for 2 days, and the losing team will make dinner for us 2 nights in a row. Thank you, Luke. That sounds like a great and a winning plan. Very, very nice to have you young there with very constructive ideas. So 2 nights we'll give Amanda a break, and the losing team will make dinner for us. Let's find out how the wildebeest look on a night vision.
We are indeed in night vision. And how beautiful is that? Very, very pretty. Seb the male is on the left here. He's busy doing his rolling around. He's doing something that I was doing the other night. Scratching, defecating, rolling around in his dung, and then he'll like to rub himself against his females to sort of mark them as his territory. Up he gets, then he rubs the head as well. There are also preorbital glands on the face of the wildebeest. There we go, rub himself in that as well. How lovely. Rub myself, rub my own rump with it, claiming everything. And then he looks around, obviously, make sure. Any other male in the area? It's interesting, you can't really see it with the lens because it's black and white, but there's an enormous amount of dust that gets pushed up there. Carrion wildebeest are essentially always in a herd. You will sometimes find males on their own, but a territorial male, generally. And then you will also get bachelor herds of wildebeest males that separated from the herd later on in life. But it's often quite difficult really to identify them. I mean, we don't get enormous amounts of wildebeest down here, so quite often we just see either lone bulls like this guy, and just through his behavior you can tell he's a male, and then breeding herds like the herd we were looking at moments before. But never have I encountered like lone wildebeests similar to that when you experience with the Duggar boys and the buffalo bulls, just these grumpy males hanging off on the side. The wildebeest males tend to hold their territory as they get older and more wily, and eventually maybe get eaten, and then their territory just gets replaced. You never really find them hanging off elsewhere, just sort of sulking down by the watering hole, looking all grumpy. So after the territorial marking, that's what they like to do. Look how he's standing. He turned towards us sideways, similar to what the Nyala are doing in the posture. He's showing us how big he is. That's their second way of communication. First is olfactory, which is all scent. He's now covered himself in himself and the smells of everything he put down. And then he stands tall to show anyone else that's watching, this is my land. And then it's time for a bite to eat, of course. There's the rest of the herd, slowly feeding as they walk away from their drink. Puma, I think they do. It's another reason why you often find animals thrashing branches. Buffalo thrash branches all the time, and it's possibly because they've got things growing inside their horn. But I'm not 100% sure. What I do know is that in hunting outfits, after they've basically shot an animal, they immediately coat its horn in a chemical to prevent the horn borer moths from moving in and spoiling the trophy. Not that I've ever been involved in trophy hunting, but I know that they immediately put it on the dead animal's horns. It's a poison, really, to keep anything or to prevent anything from boring out and damaging it. But I'm not sure if they're there already or if they just move in really quickly onto the dying corpse. It's really hard to say. But maybe someone out there knows. I'm not 100% sure on the answer. Okay, well, we're going to move off from our wildebeest, and we're going to see if we can find in the darkening of the evening a leopard.
Yes, darkness will always bring animals like leopards out, and more so now we could hear them sawing than even seeing them. And it's after sawing we'll always locate them. I got all now set with my night vision, And to get the last few night callers who would like to tell me have a great night and safe travels. There's a duiker there, and I'm sure he'll flew. He just flew away. Is the duiker there, Senzo? To your right. Always jumping, stopping. Nice. Very good, Senzo. Thank you very much. Very good. It's another big boy. Always very skittish. Just trying to look safe distance from us. And trying to hide from Senzo. I'm not sure he likes Senzo. Senzo thinks he's a very handsome boy, but yeah, and there he moves across the bushes. Duikers will still be pretty active even now as it's cooling off, buying browsers, a bit of crepuscular. At dawn at dusk that you see them more eating. And again, sorry for the pole there on the way. So we keep moving, and I got my spotlight on. Senzo is IR already. Giraffe Girl, how are you? And Senzo is saying, how are you too, Giraffe Girl? Senzo, can you wave to Giraffe Girl? Very good. Thank you very much. Well, I think Giraffe Girl, trucking is something very new for me, because where I come from in East Africa, we don't do trucking. We do game dresses like this, like exactly what I'm doing. And in fact, by 6:30, 7-ish latest, we're always back in the camp preparing to have showers and dinners. But what I've learned here, from all my other guides is a lot. And if maybe one day we'll be able to do that in East Africa, I'd be more than happy to be a pioneer of educating and training the local guides in that area. But it has been quite exciting when you go with one trucker. There's a gentleman by the name of Herbert. He's so good, he'll see a truck and tell you 100%, this is a leopard, done. He'll tell you 100%, this is a leopard and it is a female, done. And he'll prove it to you why it's a female and not a male. These are lion trucks, and this is the sex. So I think tracking of leopards have opened a new page in my life in terms of guiding. I've brought me a new world altogether, and when I'll be going back, I'll be saying I've learnt a lot, Giraffe Girl, from all this tracking of leopards. It's something I will truly miss.
Terribly sorry about the signal that side, folks. Or was someone trying to sneak into FC again there, Luke? Luke wasn't ready for his cameo on live internet yet. We're going to have to make a plan there. Definitely going to have to make a plan. Okay. Seems like there's some technical issues on David's side. Terribly sorry about that, folks. Don't worry. You're back with us, and we've moved off from our herd. My herd. VM the wildebeest is not in town these days. He's up in the Mara, so I've well and truly taken over the reign. I haven't. Ralph won the territorial contest, and he goes on leave tomorrow. So, and then Biceps Byron arrives back tomorrow. I don't think I've got much chance of out-competing him, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, we're definitely going to offer our sprints to Biceps Byron. We are in infrared, as I said, folks, and you can hear the thick knees shouting on the right there. Got a couple of scrub hares. That's with the infrared on. And very high-pitched descending call. And the grazing scrub hare come out for the night. Very relaxed without the spotlight. hear the crested francolins shouting. Yes, they shouldn't. Summer, you said the ears are so big. We shouldn't call them hairs. We should call them ears. I think so. That worked quite well. Ears. So such big ears. We've got another scrub ear over here. Oh no. I know. Stop me quickly, Seb. Lagomorpha. They're beautifully adapted for feeding like that. Crawling around on hands and feet. And very, very camouflaged. You've probably seen that before. Quite effective use. Oh, there we go. He's shy. I thought he was being quite calm. Seb. He's now decided to go behind the bush. Well, that's it for that scrub hair, or that scrub ear. We'll move on. What are we going to find next? That is the first nocturnal. No doubt we'll probably come across a bush baby at some point. It seems to be a nightly ritual. The bush babies. What other interesting nocturnal there might be? Okay, well, it seems like before David goes, he's managed to get his camera all sorted out again.
So sorry, viewers, you lost us there. We were hit by gremlins. They'll always come and go, and we do a great job, but once in a while, you know, these things will happen. We truly apologize. Now back to our hunting for the nocturnal animals. And we're thinking at the time either we should see the last chameleons saying goodbye here. And I was talking about tracking, and we had this question from Giraffe Girl, and that was a very, very good question. And surely I will miss tracking of leopards every time or anytime I've gone on a walk with the other guides. I've really enjoyed every moment. I was talking about Hubby. Hubby's so good. He sees a track on the ground, and he can tell you how fresh it is. And even tell you, you know, Giraffe Girl, I hope you're still viewing. The pace or the speed, if it was a leopard, the pace, you know, or the speed, the gait, it was just walking slowly, or it was just walking quickly, or if it was even running. And he can explain to you by the disturbance of the footprint. All right, the leopards I'm talking about, that they've been tracking, I should just need one to come and cross the road and say, hi, David. Adios and hasta luego. It's time to look for them. Zach, my favorite nocturnal animal that is always a challenge to see is the pangolin. It's the pangolin, and I might correct myself by saying a nocturnal animal, because the last time I saw it during the day. But they tend to be more active at night. That's the time you'll always see them coming out. But Zach, with the choice, I would be more than happy to see a pangolin almost every night. So Zach, my most favorite nocturnal animal is the pangolin. But whew, how difficult, Zach, it is to spot them, eh? We have always made jokes here in Africa. If you spot a pangolin, you straight go play lottery and bet for the highest prize, because you're going to win. Cesar, do you agree? Yes. Cesar says yes. You just go and you bet the highest, because the highest you bet, you're definitely going to win if you see a pangolin, especially during the day. I've got a scrub here coming up here. So, whoops. Is it too fast, Enzo? Or we need to go a little closer? And look, in the front of control says, if we see one tonight, all of you as viewers are going to win. And I can tell you, why don't we go for it? Hopefully this is the night. All of us are gonna, see the pangolin and most likely going to win. We had a scrub here somewhere here. It's just hidden. You see it there, Senzo? You see it there? Can you see it there? Yeah, there's a guy hiding there. We can see you feeding. I do not think you're really hiding. You're just feeding and thinking we can't see you. But I can see you. Mr. Scrub here, with the big ears and big eyes. Always coming out in the darkness. We'll be looking for some stems of grass to eat. Most of course of it is dried up now. The roots and the rhizomes is what they'll be feeding on. And I still want to stick to my idea saying that the scrub hares are not the best parents I know of. Once their youngsters get a few months old and they're independent and they can feed on themselves, the mothers will always show them the door. Go live your life. You see the ears, how they come out. The ears are very important to these small little scrub hares here. It's feeding on something there. And my guess, being vegetarians, 100%. So either some little fobs or they're digging something from the ground. So there's some kind of tubers also. Just no using the sharp teeth. And then come early morning, about 5, 6 o'clock, they'll be back in the warrens. All right, it's night time for all of us, including Steve.
Fantastically well. It is dark and it is getting cold. Is it getting cold? The gloves are on. The layers are. I left a few at home. It hasn't been that cold in the evenings of late, but I think winter is finally here. Clouds have peeled off. Hopefully there'll be a fire when we get home. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge to those of you who are sitting around a camp. Zach, well, my favorite sort of animal in general is the honey badger, and they are actually often seen at night. So they're regarded primarily. Seems like the gremlins are moving on to our vehicle now, so we're going to just go stop for a moment and then send you back over to David.
Sorry about that. It's one time me and then one time will be someone else. The gremlins will always come when they want, but we are always very quick to rectify things. Sorry about that again. And we just left our scrub here and we're looking for anything else that might entertain us tonight. Alrighty. So if you're lucky, we might see, I'm thinking of a bush baby tonight. Truly thinking of a bush baby. The other day, the last night or the night before, we saw 2 bush babies for like a whole 5 minutes. That was very exciting. They sat there. Initially, we had one. Another one came and joined, and they stuck there for like a whole 5 minutes. That was quite unusual. And they were playing with each other, snuggling, jumping, and allo grooming. That was super special. Normally, you'll see bush babies max 10 seconds, 15 seconds, they're gone. And any day you see them over a minute or seeing them like 5 minutes yesterday, that was quite special. All chameleons, or the pangolin I was talking about, and all of us will go buying tickets for lottery, starting with Senzo. And all the viewers will send you to go and bet, and surely you'll all win. And the last pangolin I saw is a couple of years back. I'm not talking of 2 years, could be about 7 years ago. It's a long time. Aardvarks could be good to see when they come out at night. But today my love would be to see a bush baby. Very good, very good. I can tell you my betting advice will be good for all of you, and even you, folks in the final control. So if we see a pangolin, I will need all of you having your eyes opened. And once we see a pangolin, all of us will do it tomorrow because it's already dark for us here. But if it's daylight where you're coming from, for example, in the US, make sure you get to the nearest betting point and get the maximum amount. You'll definitely win with a pangolin. Senzo, can we do any song for pangolin? Laura, that's a great comment, and that's a very good touch. Many thanks, and thank you for having been following. Thank you for having been viewing. Sante sana, as I would say, and definitely we'll see you around the corner. Thank you so much, Laura, that you'll miss me, and I'll miss you too, eh? But you know, there's always a next time, eh? Senzo, do you agree, eh? But most important, Senzo will keep staying around here with his usual signature. Hello? Senzo, remind me, what does this mean?
That's my great babies.
All right, Senzo says that's for the triplets. All right, Senzo. And Laura, no worries. All the other nice men will be here. James, you know, Seb will be here. Fag will be here. Taylor will be around. Steve-O will be around. Ralph will be around. You know, all the nice men will still be here. Not forgetting the nice, beautiful girl Taylor. So it's only me that you might miss, but everybody else will be around to keep entertaining you and showing you this beautiful wilderness we got of South Africa. All right, either a chameleon should pop up, or another scrub here, or a bush baby, or even an owl. And I think now Steve has been able to fight all his gremlins, and he's a clean boy.
Well, we think so. We think we have. You're back with us, so that seems to be working. Gremlins, gremlins, gremlins. For those of you who didn't get the answer a few weeks ago when we got that picture, we had that scene of something in the tree, and we said it looks like gremlins. That came up. It was quite funny. If you didn't get the answer, because I know there was a bit of a chat on Twitter about it, it turned out to be a family of white crested helmet shrikes lined up in the tree, two facing us and the rest with their bums to us, which made it look very strange. It was very cool though. Bamboozled everybody. We thought owls, bats, gremlins was the funniest of the lot. And then after show we just shone a little bit of light on to see, and we were able to get the coloration of the face and the body. They were all squashed together like a Christmas bed, enjoying each other's warmth. Something you see often in the winter mornings with bee eaters. And if you're a cooperative breeder, I suppose it's the way to go. Use your friend to keep warm when it is cold. You just don't want to be the one on the outside, do you? You want to be on the inside, nice and snuggled, nice and warm. So, Zach, sorry we got interrupted before. My favourite nocturnal animal is definitely the honey badger. But they are regarded as being crepuscular, so active at dusk and dawn, but they will also run around sort of at night. But you can quite often find them during the day, so I will call them a nocturnal. But they are my favourite animal altogether. I do enjoy seeing leopard, though. I really do. Something about their majestic nature. And we do see a few of them around these parts. You wouldn't believe it if you've been watching the show for the last couple of days, though. But we generally do see at least a couple a week. Sometimes a couple a drive. It really depends on what's going on. But I honestly believe our leopards are all secreted away somewhere, feeding on the remainders of rutting male impalas that didn't give up the ghost. That's my thoughts. On a kill of some sorts, anyway. Yeah. Always good to check these little depressions. The termite mounds. We know that Hukumuri and Shadulu likes to use termite mounds. Kaya, they are on leave, you say? Well, they could very well be. This does happen every now and again, where they just disappear and then they materialize again. They had tracks of Tundi this morning, Tundi the female leopardess, up on the eastern boundary, and definitely with Tlalamba. And I didn't follow up there this afternoon, but one of the Juma guards, Aubrey, went there and her tracks went east into Torchwood. So we didn't follow up more on that, but that is what she's been doing a lot lately. moving in that direction. Seemingly, Tingana has kind of occupied the more of the eastern side of Djuma and moved into Torchwood, leaving a bit of the western side of Djuma open to the movements of Hukumuri. So maybe Tandi's moved a little bit more east to be under the security of Tingana. We're not sure. Anything could be happening. But Tingana seems to be his old usual self, chasing all the male leopards away. Finally, eventually giving the eviction notice to Hosana, who's packed his bags and seems to be loving life down in the middle of the Sabi Sands, where the Birmingham boys have also now taken up residence. So definitely some prime real estate down there. Surprising. Interesting to see how he interacts with any of the males down that side, because I doubt they're going to take too kindly to his gentle nature. Regardless of how friendly he might be, he's going to end up in a scrap or two sooner or later. The beautiful face of Hosana, ladies and gentlemen, I am sure, will soon be sporting a scar or two. Part and parcel of becoming an adult, isn't it? Isn't it? Okay, well, we're still moving along. Who knows, maybe we might find a last-minute leopard.
Yes, this is like in football when you're about 90 minutes and you got an addition of 3 or 4 minutes to try to create a goal. And many times it has happened. You get, I'm not sure which team the other day just scored on the last minute. I think it was a team that was playing Tunisia, and I can't remember anyway, but any 1 minute in the African bush would count. So we're still hoping something will come up before we close. It could be the leopard that he is talking about, and we're just very hopeful. Well, a good idea there that you need to bring a professional on the safari and see what would happen. Only can see or just scrub hairs. Look, what do you think? Bring an additional what again? Well, you never know what might come up. So we still have a minute of the lapwings, black crown lapwings. Let's just go back to them and see if they can catch them again. They should be going to bed now. It's rather late for them. They should just be getting out of the area. It becomes rather tricky for them. If you get snakes moving out like now, don't touch that down. You're asking if my family has been watching from home. Yes, they've been watching, and they have been saying, well done, well done. Keep doing it, because my guiding has always been very different, and what I've been doing here is totally a different ballgame, and they have been watching, and every time they've always been cheering me up. Keep doing it. Get as a leopard. And it's always so difficult when they think I should see or should spot a leopard every day. And I'm telling them, come on, this is not a zoo. It's always a question of luck. We've got some two of the scrub hairs here coming up. So you see those two there? How close are they? Do you think that's too far? See if you can get them. Two scrub hairs right there. So yeah, don't touch that down. They have always been watching and cheering me up. But again, as I said, they have always given me the pressure. Please, we need to see a leopard every day. And I tell them, come on, it's not easy. I'll try. But like the last 3 days, you haven't spotted any. Lots of tracks of leopards around, but not the actual leopards. But to watch scrub hairs like this is equally beautiful. Scrub driver, you're saying you're going to miss me and you've been thinking very positively. Thank you so very much. Many thanks. And, that's how life should be. We should always give each other a lot of positive energy, and that makes the world a better place to live on. So I would say I've received a lot of massive and tremendous support from all of you, and every day has been a great day. And I'm going to miss this place. And all of you viewers who have been very nice to us with your questions, with your thoughts that you have always shared with us. It has always been fantastic. And you have given us so much joy that I can't believe it. And what an afternoon it has been. And don't know whether to say a little sad, but I'm happy of all the friends I've made. And I'm saying muchas gracias. And for now, adios. And hasta mañana por mañana. Hasta luego, Lucas.